Alright, welcome everyone and hello to the Legion Tank Only Tournament. This is sponsored by Hunter Killer, who is now known as Red Bull. Well, I haven't heard back from him, but he said he was sponsoring it. So currently it's sponsored by Blade, but should be sponsored by Red Bull in the future, hopefully. And of course, with me I have my veritable co-caster, Jeff Katz.
Hey everybody.
Say hello, Jeff Katz.
Hey, it's so good to be here. I'm excited to do this. It's been a little bit a while, Blade, since we've done this, so exciting.
It has been a while since we've done one of these. Would you like to explain to our fine viewers what we're going to be doing here today?
Absolutely, I would love to. So, alright guys, today we're doing something a little bit different. This is not like our usual tournament format where it's just like a normal game of Rivals. Although, having said that, it's not going to be too dissimilar from a game of Rivals. We're just focusing a little bit on a specific part of it, which is tanks. So, a little while ago, there was an idea propagated about the potential for doing a tank-on-tank action game. So here we are, we're doing that. We've had a lot of time to think about how this is going to come together. So here's the way it's going to work. Basically, there's 3 units allowed, and you're going to play both factions, but they're going to be mirror matches only. So we're not going to have Nod versus GDI. It's going to be Nod versus Nod and GDI versus GDI. Of course, an important distinction there because Predator Tank would just dominate Scorpion Tank every day of the week, so we decided to do mirror matches for basically that reason. Now, of course, for the way the game's going to play out, we thought about how the rules and how the games are going to play. So one rule that we're going to be instigating, a very important rule, is that we're going to make sure that one of those first 2 combat units that you make has to be a tank. So, of course, that doesn't matter for the Harvester. You can make your Harvester first, but of the first 2 combat units you make, the first first or second needs to be a tank. So that's one of the important rules there. Also, we do have a map pool pre-selected for all of the maps that we're going to have tank wars on. So, you know, we've made sure to call it down to the maps where all the best tank action is going to happen. So it's going to be some exciting games for sure. And let's see, other than that, we have a single elimination format with the best of 3 happening all the way up until semis, which is going to be best of 5 all the way until the finals. And we are also going to have a 3rd place match. So there we go. Was there anything I missed in that, Blade?
That sounds pretty accurate to me. In case anyone's wondering, we decided also to we are doing tank only tournament, but we are talking about Scorpions and Predators. We did ban all of the other tanks. Just in case people are wondering why, it's basically because Tic Tank would win very easily. Either Tic Tank would win easily once it gets burrowed, or Tic Tank would never get set up and would never do anything. I'm reasonably sure that as soon as you got a Tic Tank in a position, the game would be over. And Flame Tank obviously is useless because no one's allowed to play any infantry, so a Flame Tank is pretty powerful, but it seems unlikely that Flame Tank is gonna do much work. The same is true, of course, for Stealth Tank. Maybe back in the day when Stealth Tank could almost one-shot a Scorpion, we could have seen Stealth Tank dominating a tank tournament. But I think these days, we're really just looking at Scorpions and Predators. That's what we wanted people to see. Basically, what happened was, I had a game on ladder where I had a classic old-school tank mirror, and it was so good, everyone was like, man, everyone loves tank mirror. So we're like, let's do a whole tournament of just tank mirror. That seems like it would be fun. So we discussed a lot about these rules. Actually, we had a lot of thoughts on this. We were worried about things like bike rush being too strong, which is why we have the rule that you have to make a tank in your first 2 units. We don't want people just going like triple bike opening, because you know your opponent's going to be War Factory opening, right? They have to. And we also discussed whether or not we wanted to have commander powers, and we came down the side of no, because obviously like Kane would be insane. We considered allowing people to play 1 commander, like have Oksana mirrors or whatever, but again, we just decided pure tank mirror, that's what we want to be doing. So no commander powers, only Scorpions and Predators, force people to make the tanks. We really, really want to see actual proper tank wars in this one. Alright, so I think our esteemed man on the ground, Kenny, has already got us a match.
He does. So we're just waiting for the other player, it looks like.
Who we got first? We have
so it's Jotamin and username Error?
Yeah, who's username Error?
Which I don't know what their in-game name is. Maybe it's different.
Okay. Exciting stuff.
Right?
I also don't
yeah,
know
who's this mystery man?
Yeah, exciting. We do have Jotabin already in the game. So we are just waiting for username Error.
Now we're on Stonewall, which, you know, it's got that nice big open area in the middle. Perfect for tank wars, of course. I guess one thing to worry about with GDI would be the fact that there are 3 pads to worry about. I think Nod is likely not going to have much of an issue with maps like this where the pads are a bit further apart. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the first match is going to be Nod, and then the second match is going to be GDI. Is that correct?
I'm actually not sure about that. I don't know which order we're going in, but it is going to be one, then the other, and then tiebreak. I can't remember what a tiebreaker is. GDI, I think, or maybe tiebreak is someone has a decision. I honestly can't remember what we decided on that one.
Here we go. Yeah. So the way it works is the first match is going to be Nod, and then the second one is going to be GDI. So we'll do both factions, and then the third match is decided by a flip of a coin. So whoever wins the coin toss gets to decide which faction to play. So there we go.
All right, fair enough. Sounds like we are well prepared for every eventuality.
We did prepare a lot for this.
I think we've banned pop capping as well. I'm reasonably sure. Like all of our tournaments have pop capping banned by default at this point. So now, to be fair, just to be clear again, pop capping is where you aggressively retreat from a low hit point squad with the intention of leaving it alive. I don't think pop capping is going to be an issue, really, because A, there's going to be a lot of tanks or radar, so it's basically impossible to actually pop cap someone. Like, you can't pop cap, like, if you drive your single-man bike into an enemy tank, it's going to die, right? Like, so it's very hard to pop cap someone. And also, secondly, we shouldn't have too many bike mirrors. That's the main issue where you can get pop capping happen. Now, to be clear, again, pop capping is only when you are avoiding killing a unit when you have nothing else to do apart from kill that unit. Like, if you're in a bike mirror and you switch target from a one-man bike to a three-man bike, or even drive past a one-man bike to kill a three-man bike, that's not pop capping. That is generally playing the game as you're supposed to. It's when there's only a one-man bike left or 4 one-man bikes and you just run away from them until the missile's about to fire. That's what we're talking about when we say pop capping. So yeah, basically people shouldn't worry about it too much. You shouldn't worry about accidentally pop capping because it's basically impossible to do, is my point. Like, if you're not intentionally doing it, it's probably not pop capping.
And that's when it happens, actually, most of the time. Like, I know in most of the cases we've seen, it's been a matter of the player was doing it totally unintentionally, even though in our judgments, I don't think we've ever, I think we've determined maybe once, but not even once, that there was pop capping going on. And it's just because of the fact that, like Blade says, there's many situations in the game where it's actually, it's favorable to move one from one unit to another, even though it does look like you're leaving a squad that way. Well, actually, it's better for your matchup, right? So it's actually a smart play. Like Blade said, it's when you're leaving units intentionally, so that as the missile goes off, they can't build anything to respond in time. That's where the problems occur. So
yeah. So as Jeffrey says, it's really difficult to actually pop cap by accident. And also just having the ban on pop capping usually means that pop capping doesn't happen. Like, you don't have to have rulings on it because once there's a ban in place, people don't attempt to do it. And then if you don't attempt to do it, it's almost impossible to do it. So it really doesn't end up being an issue. Like Jeffrey says, I think we've maybe had one ruling ever of saying someone was pop capping. Also, as you can see, Jeffrey sporting the Blade mug.
Oh yeah,
is that Legacy or a new version Blade mug?
This
Very
is the
nice.
new sexy one. Oh
and
yeah.
I today am wearing the Legion's Arena T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Which, if you want to get, you can go to the Legion Teespring and get yourself one of those.
Absolutely.
Alright, I believe the first match is now ready to go. We're actually going to have Elijah versus Maximus. It looks like username error has not shown up, which I suspect will be a forfeit for him. We forgot to have a check-in, so there's some people who are going to be forfeiting round 1, basically.
Yeah.
Alright, looks like we're ready to go.
Let's do this.
Yeah. So let's hit it. Let's do game number 1.
All right, Elijah versus Maximus. And of course, the commander powers, like we discussed, are just for show. They're not actually going to be making use of them. So, it's great, right? Like, you get to do it for a cosmetic reason this time, which is fun. But as we talked about, this is a tank tournament, so you're going to see decks like this where it's just 3 units that they can make, and they can make nothing else. All right, let's see how this game starts off. So we got both players going Harvester first. And Blade, what do you think about that? Do you think it's wise to go Harvester first, or should you be scouting?
Oh, I think Harvester first for sure. Especially when we have this rule of one of your first 2 combat units has to be a tank. The odds of someone rushing are so slim in that scenario. Like, you could go bike tank as your rush, or even just like tank rush, but it's pretty easy to beat like a tank rush if you just scout. So I don't think you need to be scared of a rush, in which case you should always go half first with like extra 10 Tiberium or whatever it is, like 5-10 Tiberium.
Ooh, so an even exchange going on here so far. Both players not really getting their tanks microed out of the way. Pretty even so far, although Elijah's just lost his bike squad. This low health point tank's about to go down to that one bike missile. Does it get the shot off? No, it doesn't. Actually, that could be a big deal, although he does need to protect the value of that tank. But here he gets an extra shot off from it, which is a big deal as he got a little bit extra value out of the low hit point tank.
Yeah, pretty excited already to be one game in and we're just seeing excellent tank-on-tank action. We are seeing a few bikes as well, but bikes are an important part of the tank mirror. I think wheels as well. If you ever played against Alonso, he used to make a lot of wheels in tank mirror to absorb shots. So yeah, pretty interesting to see already these true tank war factory mirrors.
All right, Elijah giving up the missile as he realized the wheels just weren't going to hold on long enough. He got all crowded up on the middle pads there and wasn't able to overcome it, so Maximus takes that first missile.
Yeah, and of course, when you have a tank mirror of this nature, usually once someone gets ahead, it's really difficult to dislodge them. Like, because obviously the more tanks you have, the more favored you're going to be in a tank mirror. And yeah, like, Elijah gets a little bit behind. Maximus is 2 bikes, 2 tanks to 1 bike, 1 tank. I don't see how Elijah gets back into this.
You almost have to rely on your opponent making a few mistakes here. Like Maximus, he's got his tanks bunched up, which is exactly where you want to be. You don't want to be splitting them up too much, because if Elijah gets a 2v1, that's going to start to pull him up ahead. And here Maximus being very smart with his tanks here. He's got all 3 together, making sure that they're all gaining that little bit of extra value from those few shots there. And look at that. Although Elijah's surviving his tanks a little bit, they're both all at low hit point there. One more shot, and they are gone. And it's not looking good here for Elijah at all, especially as we're moving into the second missile.
Yeah, it was looking okay for Elijah there. It looked like he positioned his tanks nicely and he had them all on low hit points, but then he just didn't get enough free shots out of those low hit point tanks to get back into it. And as you can see, Maximus now 4 tanks to 0. The clear tank victor.
Oof, well, Maximus takes him down 2-0 there, 2 missiles to 0. And, yep, like Blade said, more tanks, more wins.
Alright, here we go to the GDI mirror. Solomon versus McNeil. McNeil, a very poor choice because you literally cannot emote. So,
yeah, true
not
enough,
a fan of that.
That's a good point. All right, well, yeah, like you said, we're going to be doing GDI here, so it's going to be mostly Predator tank, and, you know, I guess the only role Pitbull really plays is going to be against War Dogs, right? Because they are a little bit better against the... Actually, you know, I don't even know if they clear them a bit quicker, do they? It must be very close.
Elijah with the blind double harvester, Jeffrey. What do you think about that?
Oh, well, interesting. Yeah, you know, I wondered if we were going to see something like this, and I guess in some ways it makes sense with GDI, because, like you said, you want to be living in Predator tanks all day long, and so I guess if you can make more tanks at the end, then maybe it's better, but I just feel like you might get locked out of your pop cap.
This is a bad choice from Elijah. I think the double harvester, I actually think the double harvester is good. I really do. I'm excited. I'm interested to see if it turns out to be the best thing you can do. Because as you can see here, he has a Pitbull and a Predator to Maximus's dog and 2 Predators. So he's a little bit behind, but because all he has to do is defend his side of the map, it takes a Predator so long to get there. By the time the Predators get there, he's going to be equal on Predators. Like, look at this, 2 Predators, 2 Predator now. So
true enough.
Already, Maximus has only just got his Predator to the tank, to the harvester portion of the map, and already Elijah has caught up on tank numbers.
Ooh, so gets pretty close there, but of course timing just didn't work out, and that's something you're going to see a lot of throughout these games, I think. It's just timing really dictating the missile firing and with whoever's direction. And there, Maximus was just slightly ahead, and of course he was, right? He had the extra pop cap, so he's a little bit further ahead on the map, which meant that he could get to the pads a bit sooner. So he got that positioning a little bit sooner, and that gives him missile number 1.
But you can kind of see how both players are not limited by pop cap. Like, clearly the thing that's slowing down is money to build. Well, that's not true. Elijah now is struggling a little bit. But Maximus, you can see, he basically, as soon as he gets 70, he can make a tank. So I actually think Double Harvester is pretty reasonable. I think Elijah's big mistake was making 2 Pitbulls. He just wasted 80 Tiberium on 2 Pitbulls. He could already be up 1 more tank at this point. And look at the money. It's pretty even. Like, the tank numbers are even, the money is even. So the Double Harvester now should start pulling ahead. But if he hadn't built 2 Pitbulls, he'd already be up 1 tank, and he'd be up 2 tanks by now, I think. Oh, he's pulling both the harvesters. What is this?
Oh wow, look at this strategy, using those harvesters to extra effect, and he's got 2 predators to the 1 against Maximus on that middle pad. If he can clear that predator tank, he's got a chance, but look at that, the dogs just move in time as the predator tank moves off the tile. Good movement there from Maximus, and now, not looking too great here as Maximus gets an extra shot on the tank as Elijah's targeting the dogs instead. They're clearing up the tank as, you know, protecting the harvester there, which is great, but this pitbull here, can it be enough? He's trying to get it onto the pad there. Nice blocking from Maximus on the bottom right. Those dogs living it out their best lives, and no, unfortunate that they just couldn't finish the block, and that allows Elijah back on, giving him just a bit more stall time. And here we see Maximus crawling with that predator tank on the far right. Not sure where he's trying to go there, but he does need to clear up these dogs because he's going to win that far right pad, and that's going to give him back the miss notes here. As looking pretty good for Maximus overall. Just needs to get the block on that middle pad, moves the predator tank just about, but doesn't allow Elijah on there, and he gets there in time, and now it's stalled once again. I really don't know who's actually going to take it at the end here, but Maximus looking pretty good here now. I think he's got enough tanks on the field that should secure things up, and well, there it is. All right, Maximus takes it down, but that was closer than game number 1 for sure. Like, you know what? I have to say the double harvester didn't penalize Elijah all that much. It did seem to work out pretty well.
Yeah, I actually think that pop cap is not the issue. Money is the issue in a tank mirror because tanks are so expensive. So yeah. I think that was not a great showing for the double harvester. I think we are ready for round 2. I think we can just get started.
Let's do it.
So they are, of course, best of 3s. And look at that background. Look at that Platinum League background. I don't see that every day.
It's great, doesn't it? Yeah.
New objective received.
Okay, well, yeah, here on Fighting Pit, this is another great map for this because, of course, all the action is going to be concentrated in the middle. And, well, tanks, they just like to be next to each other, so, of course, that's what you want in a map like this, and that's part of the reason it's in this map pool. But here we go, we're going wheel first, so, of course, very interesting. A lot of players, like Blade was pointing out, has gone Harvester first and deciding to Scout next. So, yeah, so here next, of course, we're going to see tanks pump out, and then, well, we'll get the tank-on-tank action started.
I'm excited for the first person to try a tank rush.
Right?
I don't know how long it's going to
too.
be, but someone's going to do it, right? There's going to be someone who's going to try a tank rush.
I sure hope so, yeah. Well, back in the day, that was one counter to Alicia, is because she opened War Factor, played so much War Factory, you could open tank against her. Granted, that was when War Dogs didn't exist, so maybe that was part of the reason why, but...
yeah, it was also like tanks were 60, so the tank got to the harvester sooner. She tended to open like a Rhino back then, so she'd waste 30 tib and you just kill it for free with your tank rush. So yeah, I think there were a lot of reasons that tank rush worked back then that doesn't work now.
Now look at this, Icewood actually pulling up ahead as he went tank, 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 and Nye Idea went wheel, tank, tank, and that's putting him back as Icewood actually got some free shots against those wheels and now getting a 2v1 on those tanks. Not looking good here at all for Nye. And of course those wheels targeting the harvester, eating up some pop cap as well. Ooh, just a bit of mistakes here for him.
Yeah, those AFK wheels are basically costing him this game because he, like, Zeissman had 3 tanks on the middle whilst Nye Idea had 2 and was pop capped on his 2 wheels. And now he's just so far behind in tanks, I don't think he can catch back up. I wonder if he's ever going to notice those wheels. Maybe he's hoping they'll eventually kill the half, I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks like Zeissman doesn't want to deal with those wheels anymore. He's going and taking them out.
Well, I don't think the tournament's going to last long enough for him to clear the harvesters. So yeah, Zeissman got down there and took care of business for us. Thank you very much. And here we got the 2v1 again happening on that top pad. That's what Zeissman's been doing so well here. But again, also just building more and more tanks. And just like Blade was talking about, that's exactly where you want to be. And here, Zeissman's just gotten more of them out. Here comes another one just in time. And, well, that was all he needed. There we go. Zeissman takes the idea down 2-0 all the way to victory. Well done.
Yeah, that was just a lot of... That was a lot of tanks from Zeissman, not as many tanks from his opponent. So, Strong Arm versus Liang. Liang, a great choice here.
Absolutely. Yeah, Liang is awesome. Too bad they can't use it.
New objective received.
Good old Liang. And yeah, I mean, here we're on Eruption, so another open map. This is actually very similar to Rorschach. It's just kind of, you know, flipped around the other way. Of course, you don't have that pocket at the top, but either way. But here we go. So, double dog opening here. Surprised to see that. Again, I do really think, like you were talking about, that a tank rush does make a lot of sense. I mean, well, especially for GDI. Like, I don't think you make Pitbull ever. But Predator tank would make a ton of sense. Like, what else are you going to make, right? Like, either they're going to open Predator tank or not. And if you got a tank, you're always going to be up ahead. So I feel like that would be the right way to go.
Yeah, I agree. So here we see both players going for the wheel into dog. I think, again, pretty reasonable. I don't mind the wheels as much. I think a Predator is so slow. If you go dogs and you're being Predator rushed, you probably can block it out for a while because the Predator's so slow.
Now, interesting there, Zeissman got a free shot off. You see why? That's the two Predator tanks are have different health there. That's the reason. Look at that. Zeissman, keeps his Predator tank around. He's got these dogs in front as well. If he can protect it very well with good micro, he's going to get a lot of value out of this extra Predator tank that he now has.
Yeah, Zeissman's super far ahead here. There's another thing interesting about tank mirrors that like, not everyone will know. If you start locking onto a unit, a tank takes a certain amount of time to fire after it locks on. If you switch target whilst it's like charging up its shot, you bypass all of that lock-on time. So you can aim at a dog and then switch to the enemy tank and get your first shot off before theirs.
Now look at this. Of course, Zeissman with that extra tank under his belt gets the pads as well. Naiadia does manage to clear it up, so he's getting map positioning here, but really is going to come down to the economy at the end of the day. It's evened up just a little bit, as Zeissman really had a tough time there blocking the Predator tanks from getting out of the pads.
Yeah, that one actually was a lot closer than it looked. Naiadia was very close to actually clearing those tanks in time. And he also was up in economy at the end of it, I think, because as you say, Zeissman was like using his tanks to body block, so they weren't getting as efficient trades. Ooh, the double hit there, though. Naiadia not looking great here. Not doing as good tank stacking as Zeissman, you can see that clearly. Very nice. Oh, he tries to absorb with the dogs, but they all shoot the tank instead.
Oh, that Predator tank, man, not having a good day. He drove it into 3 there and got absolutely wrecked. Holy cow, you don't often see that
5 tanks to 2, Jeffrey. I think it's time to call it.
Yeah, Zeissman
I think this one's over. There's a lot of tanks.
Although, hold on a minute. I don't know. These low HP tanks, I mean, no, who am I kidding? He's got that Predator tank on the middle pad. Dogs coming up on the left. That's going to be just enough. And those 2 tanks, they're going to secure things down. And, well, there it is.
There it is. Yeah, Zeissman takes it 2-0.
Oh, I've got the emote in at the end as well.
First, let's go. Look at these professional players. Platinum versus Diamond.
Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Oh, I just realized that in this round we also had Huck versus Alicia. That would have been a good one. We should have watched that.
Kane lives.
Oh,
Alright, here we go. Oh yeah, first emote. Joseph been 1-0 on emotes.
Okay, well, wheel first. So again, not seeing tank rushing going on yet. Both players opting to scout. They just want to get a little bit of information, feel each other out. They're not just ready to jump into the tank waters just yet. But of course, because of course our rules dictate that the next unit must be a tank, that is what we'll see next. Oh no, actually, of course, I misspoke. It is going to be Harvester for Jodabin, but then tank for Paffy G. And I gotta say, I think this is a big mistake for Jodabin here. I don't know how he's going to defend against this.
Agreed. I really don't like this Harvester here. I think that if he was going to make the second Harvester, he should have done it before the wheels. It's only a little bit of difference, but extra 10 Tiberium, his tank could be out a little bit sooner. I also think this is not the map to do this on. Like, this seems like a really bad map. Look how quickly Paraphragon got his tank to the Harvester. I'm actually surprised Paraphragon isn't focusing more on the half. Like, I know that I'm always the one who says half kills don't win games, but in a tank mirror, they kind of do. You get a whole tank out of it. You get 80 Tiberium, you get a tank and a little bit extra. If you're doing tank mirror where the person with more tanks wins, getting a free tank is insane. Like, it's just insane.
Well, and that's essentially where Paraphragon's at right now. I mean, he's got a lot of money in the bank. He's going to be able to build more tanks as a result. He's further ahead. He's on the pads. Yeah, Jodabin's just going to drop this missile as a result. There we go.
Oh, this tank is still alive. Jodabin, shoot the tank, man. Oh my god.
Oh dear.
Bro, finally gets rid of it. Paraphragon looking very strong right now. 2 tanks to 1. Is he going to keep it up though? I mean, he's going to have to keep pressure on these halves, because that is important. If you don't keep the pressure on the halves, you will actually fall behind again, because obviously Jodabin makes so much more money. So yeah, we do need to see him keep that pressure up. He's doing a good job of keeping pressure on the board though, keeping Jodabin's tank numbers down. He's very far ahead right now. This tank is going to take this Harvester at the bottom completely for free. He has complete free reign. That's another free tank for Paraphragon. Yeah, Paraphragon 140 in the bank, and he can make 2 more tanks as soon as he loses the ones he has. This is looking very bad for Jodabin.
Yeah, for sure. Look at this. Paraphragon on the pads all over the place. Jodabin here trying to fight with these bikes. but the spikes, of course, aren't going to make a difference. Yeah, Paraphragon too strong. I mean, again, just good pressure there. That Harvester there at the beginning, I mean, he just left himself wide open, right? Like you said, had he not built those wheels and maybe, well, he should have fought the tanks and pushed him back a little bit before opening into another Harvester, I think. Oh, but Jodabin's got the white suit on. I mean, come on, that's got to give him a big advantage here.
3.
That's true, yes. Like, for sure, the guy with the white suit Solomon is way
Like, it's just so classy looking. It looks great. All right, well, gotta love the tech unit choices as well. Almost the same, except we got Sandstorm versus Juggernaut, and then, of course, Kodiak versus Titan. But Mammoth tank on both sides, because, of course, tank tournament, right? Gotta throw the tanks in there. But look at this, all right. Jodabin going again for the early double harv. I wonder if he just thought, you know what, maybe I just didn't build it early enough. So, well, and there is some time on the clock here before Paraphragon gets to his tank. And Predator tank being slow as it is, he does have some time to get back and defend, but what's he going to make? Pitbull? I don't think that's going to be enough. Well, I guess not.
Yeah,
okay.
it's, as I was saying before the game started, I think in GDI Mirror, the blind double harvester makes more sense. Because look how long it takes the Predator to get there. Like, this Predator is going to get 1, maybe 2 shots on this Harvester before it has to turn around and fight the other Predator tank. So, doesn't really put him that far ahead. Obviously, Paraphragon gets the first missile for free, basically. But Jodabin just needs to survive long enough to get this advantage going, like this economic advantage. You can see already he's about to be 2 Predators to 1 on a Pitbull. Oh, he goes for a Pitbull instead! Jodabin, why? Why do people keep thinking Pitbull is playable in this matchup? I think Paraphragon's Pitbull made some sense, but Jodabin's Pitbull is nonsense. Like, his only advantage is that he can make more Predator tanks than Paraphragon. So if he's going to waste pop cap on Pitbulls, that completely throws away that advantage.
Yeah, and losing that Predator tank there was a big deal. Jodabin now falling even further behind. Paraphragon kind of let him back into the game by making his own Pitbulls there. But the thing is, Jodabin's got the double harp, right? He's got the extra money, and he had enough to build a Predator, but he went Pitbull instead. And you can see here, now he's falling further behind. That Pitbull's going to be a big liability. We see that Predator tank coming up from behind.
Look how often he has money but can't make Predator tank. It's been consistently throughout this second missile. He's had 70 plus tib, but just couldn't make a Predator tank.
Get on the pad there. Can he do it? All right,
there he goes. He's got double tank. He could get back into it here.
Oh, it's so close played. Can he make it happen? He clears up the tank. Now, of course, these dogs are going to be a bit of an issue. Predator only one-shots them, and it fires, I believe, once every, it's like 3.6 seconds. So it's a little bit on the slow side to deal with dogs here, but all he needs to do is clear up these 3 dogs, clear up that pad, and then he's going to be able to secure things. But, well, Paraphragon fighting for his dear life here, using these dogs to good effect, and this Pitbull here actually being a bit of an issue with that low hit point Predator. Now, moving it back and forth.
Oh, he fucked up. Why did he move the Predator back? Oh, my God.
Oh, it's so close here, folks. This is what it is all about. And here we got the dogs coming, but Jodabin on the dogs. Oh, this is beautiful. You'll love to see this. Here we go. The dog's trying to make it onto that pad, but the double Predator, and here's where double harv is making a big difference. Look at the economy difference between these two. 200 tip for Jodabin. He's got all the money he needs. If he can win this missile, I think he might win this game. But boy, has it been an exciting one so far.
Yeah, if he takes this missile, it's over. There's no way Paraphragon can get back into this. Like, Jodabin can make tanks for the rest of the game.
Hold on a minute!
Oh my God,
MVP dogs!
Jodabin, why? How did he do that?
The Predator tank must have grease on its wheels because it slipped off the pads, and then the dogs were there to block, and they were the MVP at the end.
Oh my God.
What a close game. Wow, that was great. That was an excellent game.
He had so much money as well. He like pulled the half, and then he was like, "No, I've got this. I'll move the half back onto the tip." He just leaves the half there. He probably wins. Oh my God!
Man. Wow,
So
but you're
savage.
right. We got to talk about the double harv there because it made such a huge difference. And of course, we did reach the point in the game where economy was fully ramped, right? So, but you saw how much of a difference it made. Like, how does Paraphragon ever come back at that point? There's just no way, right?
No way at all. I feel like Paraphragon also. I think the trades were pretty even throughout the game. Honestly, I think that most of the time Predator traded for Predator pretty evenly. There was maybe some Pitbull shenanigans in there. But then Jodabin had like 200 Tiberium to Paraphragon's 20.
There we go. Okay, and you know what? We haven't seen Oksana, so, well, at least on stream anyway, so lots of Jades and lots of Canes. You know, I gotta say, though, I have a special play for both of those commanders. Anyway, so yeah, here we are again with Nod. We're on Scorpion Tail though, which is actually quite similar to Battlefield, but I love a map like this because lots of distance from the base to the pads, and of course for Nod, that's not going to matter as much. Does mean for more intense action. It does mean, you know, matter a lot for what units you make, obviously. But yeah, it's just an overall good open map for a good tank war.
I'll tell you what we haven't talked about yet, Jeffrey, that's quite important. We've forgotten to discuss the players' tech unit option choices.
Right, yeah.
Like you can see here, both players have gone for Cyborg and Avatar, but then we've got Rockworm versus Artillery.
Yeah, Rockworm's a great choice. I mean, back in the day when Artillery was a menace, Rockworm was the antidote.
Right? Like Roboto's favored because his Rockworm beats the... Oh my god, that tank lives? Maximus doesn't get the shots off? Wow, Roboto is so far ahead now. Two tanks and a bike to a bike. This is... I mean, this might already be over.
Well, okay, so the bikes are going to clear the tank. He's going to try and get on the pad and block the tank from getting on there and provide just a bit more stall time. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. That bike's going to go down. And then, of course, will these bikes get cleared in time? Oh, so close. But as we discussed earlier, this was just a matter of timing. Maximus did fall behind just a little bit there, losing value there on his own bike. So a bit unfortunate there, but yeah, did give Roboto the missile.
Interesting there, Roboto chose to block with the bike, so he basically suicided the entire bike squadron. I don't think that was necessary, because he was always going to have the top pad, right? So if Maximus is on the bottom pad but shooting his bikes, it doesn't matter, it's the same as not being on the pad at all.
Right.
So I think that he didn't get any damage in, is my point. Like, that bike squadron died doing no damage, which gives Maximus a chance to get back into it. I think, given it's 4 tanks to 1, I don't think it's going to matter. But it was an interesting choice there.
Yeah, I mean, ooh, that tank just got smashed to bits. Holy cow! Met its demise very quickly.
Wasted that tank though.
Now, of course, you look at these tanks and their health, and there's one there very low, but Roboto has great positioning. I mean, we're nearing the end of the missile here. Of course, Maximus really trying to fight on as hard as he can, but these bikes just aren't going to clear it in time. You know, unfortunate circumstance for them. Normally, bikes are very quick at clearing things, but, well, not in a tank war. And there it is. Roboto takes it.
Yeah, and no surprises there. Once again, as you always expect, once someone gets ahead in the tank war, it tends to be kind of a slaughter.
Of course. Oh yeah, because of the names on stream. Yeah, right.
New objective received.
Okay, well, and both players synchronizing with their tech choices. So
interesting.
I don't know
Again,
what that says.
What do you think dictates what people choose? Oh, both double harvester. Very interesting.
Although, Roboto has sent his second harvester down to the bottom. Now, that's not going to matter too much until I believe it's about the minute 20 mark, if I remember correctly, and that's when the harvesters are finished, but I could be off on that. Either way, Maximus won't have an issue there with his harvester moving, and Roboto could dictate things depending on if the match evolves to that point. We'll see.
Yeah, like you say, Maximus's double harv positioning is actually better than Roboto's, and when they finish harvesting the first patch, Maximus is not going to lose as much money as Roboto is, and that could be relevant. It'll be interesting to see if that matters.
Okay, so here both players just feeling each other out here. Maximus pushing his tank up just a little bit further ahead. Roboto could have got maybe a start on a 2v1 there, but Off's just to hold back a little bit there. Maximus now getting his tanks together, but Maximus is pushed up a little bit further ahead, which does matter a little bit as these tanks take a long time to get into position. So now with Roboto bunching them all, look at them all 3 together on the same hex. You'll love to see that. That's what this is all about. Look at that!
GG, 3 shots to 1, Maximus.
Ooh,
but there you go, the one tank is down first though. So maybe Maximus is back in it.
Oh boy, okay, so we got a tank coming down to the bottom power. We can see things stall. We got a tank up there, and he's going to move his tank back on there. I don't think they're going to clear it in time, but actually, hold on a minute. Of course, Roboto does manage to get his tank there in time. No, neither player building anything else, by the way. Isn't this what Tank Wars is all about? And look at how close this is. Okay, so now Roboto really trying to use these Predator tanks, but he has to go off the pads. I mean, he just can't fight for the pads and against the tanks at the same time, so Maximus with better positioning takes that first missile.
Very nicely played by Maximus there. Roboto, of course, got the first engagement. He had the favorable matchup because he got the 3 shots for 1, but then his lead tank went solo and got killed whilst Maximus didn't lose the tank that had taken 3 hits, putting him up 1 tank in the area. And here you see the punish of those harvester positioning. One of Roboto's harvesters not harvesting, the other one getting pushed off the map. Very bad for Roboto here.
Unit ready.
Boy, doesn't this just remind you of classic Command and Conquer when it's just a bunch of tanks against a bunch of other tanks? Like this is what it's reminding me of right now. And just love to see it.
You mean like Red Alert, where everyone just plays medium tank?
Exactly. And you know, interesting here, Roboto deciding to build the Pitbull. That could be a big misplay. Maximus pulling the Harvester as well. He's got 3 tanks there on the middle pad there. Can his Micro overcome it? And look at that. He's dictating the matchup pretty well. It's pretty even overall, though. See what happens here. Okay, so 1 tank's gone, but he's got that middle pad. Can he get the Harvester there in time? Oh, so close. Of course, no boost or anything available to either player, so...
Oh, I think Maximus got it. Look at that tank on the top and the block!
I think he's got it, folks!
I think that's
there
it is! Maximus taking it back! What a master.
And, hey, that does mean we're going into our first game 3, so...
It does, very
exciting. First coin toss.
And we're going to see Kane versus Jade. I think I'd go Jade if it was up to me.
I think so, too.
I think I'd go Jade. Let's see what tech units they've gone for. Again, the Rockworm versus the Artillery.
I think Roboto's got it in the bag.
So some very interesting choice. I might go and look at the tech units and see if like the artillery. I think artillery cyborg avatar might be the 3 most right ones, which I think might be why Maximus has picked them. They're like the rightmost 3.
Makes sense.
And then I think Roboto might have just gone for like the bottom 3.
Right.
Like the bottom
right
3. I think that might be what's going on. I don't know if there's more to the people's decisions. I saw someone had a Juggernaut earlier. I know for a fact that one's in a weird spot, so that person had to have chosen to put Juggernaut in their deck.
Right. Okay, so again, one of the differences here with the Nod matchup, we're seeing players go bike first, compared to going just straight up into tank. Of course, bikes here do make a bit of a difference, and let's see this Micro here. So, both tanks fired against each other. We got bike on bikes there. Although Maximus 3 bikes to Roboto's 1, clearing it up. I mean, that's some excellent value there, but did lose the tank, which is, well, of course, in a tank war, a much bigger deal. So here, Roboto now getting 2 tanks to Maximus's 1. This could switch things around very early on.
Scorpion tank ready to strike.
I see 3 tanks to a tank and a bike, so I'm not feeling good for Maximus here.
Right? Yeah, not looking too good. I mean, that tank's probably going to die to 1 straight-up volley. Oh, just 1 tank shot as well, but that doesn't matter because Roboto here's pushed up a little bit further ahead, and now he's about to get a 2v1, 3v1, in fact, against this 1 tank from Maximus, and not having a good day at all. Look at this. They're just cornering him there, not even allowing him onto the pads. Yeah, well, Roboto making the right choice going to Nod here has taken missile number 1.
Really interesting to see how one-sided it's been for the Nod mirror, whereas the GDI mirror, Maximus took it down, I'd say reasonably comfortably as well. But then Nod mirror, like, seems like Roboto is just way better with Scorpions than Predators.
It does seem that way. Like the bike Micro at the beginning there, I wish we could replay that because there was something interesting where Roboto basically just won the matchup there. I don't know. I'm assuming he retargeted onto the tank, whereas Maximus was targeting the bikes instead, which isn't where you want to be in a tank war.
Yeah. The tank is way more important than the bikes.
Woo! Wow, have you seen so many tanks just get obliterated there in a short sequence? Well, I haven't. That was great. Although, of course, Roboto here in very good, comfortable position is going to take this pretty comfortably, and, well, there she goes.
There it is. Roboto very confidently taking that one down. Yeah, I gotta say, it's kind of surprising. Like, we got Kane versus Jade. Oh, very nice. Both in... Is that Winter? That's not Winter Kane, right? That's regular Kane?
That's regular Kane, yeah.
That's regular Kane, right? Is it? He's got like a fur coat. Is it regular Kane? I don't remember anymore. Jade with black coat Jade, though. I'm not sure about that one. Oh, Quasar not gone for the tech units. Quasar has gone for regular deck. Now, the reason to do this is you keep the units in the position you're used to having them in.
Yes, exactly.
So I actually think this makes a lot of sense. I think I would probably do the same in this spot. I'd probably also play the 3 units in their normal spots.
For sure. Yeah, well, muscle memory, right? And that matters a lot, especially when you need to make the right unit in a format like this where it matters a lot, so... Okay, well, let's see here. Can Quasar start to use these wheels to block some shots from the tank? That would be the idea here. He takes some shots, absorbs them with the wheels, but then returns fire with the tank at the same time. It's not an easy thing to pull off. It is actually quite challenging because you have to be wary of the lock-on mechanic of the tanks and be able to pull the tank out in just in time. Let's see if that happens. Okay, so no, Victor does manage to get a shot off, but here it looks like Quasar coming out ahead again, getting a 2v1 here on the tanks, and that tank's sitting around, but he's very smart there, pulling it back. Actually, very good play there from Victor just to make sure that he kept that tank alive to build up another one.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, not surprising from two players of such high caliber, but this I think is the best tank micro we've seen today. From both players.
Very good stuff.
Like, they're both playing excellently so far.
Look at
Very
this.
nice
Victor coming
trading of
back.
shots. Terran going for the bikes here, probably because he knows they can pick off that low hit point tank. So I think that's a reasonable play. Oh, he's going double bike though. I'm not sure about the double bike. It's working out for him though. He's got the missile, he's got the pads.
Wow. That went back and forth quite a bit there. Like it looked like Quasar had it under wraps, and then, well, Victor pulling that tank back. Very smart play. Managed to come back with a 2v1, and then he started to, again, claw back into the game. But then Quasar with the bikes, like you said, using that low hit point tank to his advantage, allowed him to get back onto the pads using their fastest movement speed, and, well, come back into the game and take that first missile. But economy-wise, I can't say either player's got a big advantage, except for, of course, Quasar does have 2 bikes.
That tank was so low, I think Quasar could have used wheels to kill it.
I think so too. It looked pretty close, actually. It could happen.
So this is going to be interesting because Quasar obviously can't make another unit, whereas Victor can get another tank out. Oh, here comes... Oh, but Victor doesn't get the low hit point tank. There it is. Finally gets it out of the way. But he's way behind in tanks now. It's 3 to 3, but Victor's are both at his base. Missile's close to firing. Victor needs to get on his pad quick if he's going to get back in time.
Look at that.
Is he gonna get on?
Clearing further on the bottom, but he's getting off back on the pad. We're going to see a bit of a
I
fuck
think
here happen. Hold on a
Quasar's got
minute.
it.
Oh, the bike's coming in from behind. Is he getting it? No, he's not going to be able to swap onto that far right pad. He does manage to get back onto the pad there just in time. Those bikes with their fastest movement speed really effective here. Again, nice swapping there from Victor, making sure he's just stalling the missile long enough. All he needs to do is clear up these bikes, and in fact, if he can clear up that bottom bike, he might be able to make his way onto a pad here, but I gotta love this push from Quasar. He's got a tank coming in hot. Of course, tanks being the strongest thing here. Can that bike last long enough? And, oh, wow.
There it
just
is.
cleared the boat in the nick of time, giving Quasar that second missile and game number 1. Well played.
Yeah, that Solomon
Quasar
versus
won with
Strongarm. I
points,
don't know
so-
how I feel about picking Strongarm. That seems very loose.
Yeah, a little bit, right? I mean, Ion Cannon, just so classic, and of course a great GDI counter at the same time.
1. New objective.
I mean, Solomon is
available.
cheat, so...
That is true. Yeah, exactly.
Building online.
All right. Well, again, so Quasar not opting for any tech units here. Decides he doesn't need the advantage. But Victor, very smart play here, picking out 3 good ones. You gotta love the Mammoth tank in there. Of course, Mammoth tank in a tank war. That's what you want to see. And Titan and Sandstorm, good choices. But, okay, so interesting here. Victor going for the double harv and Quasar not.
Harvester ready.
No,
Oh,
Quasar
I
sees the
just-
double half with the dog, decides to do the same thing.
Yeah,
Interesting to
smart
see
play.
how far behind he's going to be because his harvesters later. Looks like he's a reasonable amount behind. I mean, his tanks get like 20 out. I mean, the dogs are 10, so
Unit ready.
still he is like 20 tip down or something on these late harvester.
And that could mean a tank at the end of the day.
Yeah, it depends when the missile fires. Like, if Quasar can't get his tank to the pad before Victor's fresh tank comes, because he has the extra Tiberium at the start, that could be the deciding factor.
Yeah, it's hard to think about like what kind of a difference it's going to make, but here we're seeing it a little bit. We got Victor with 3 tanks. Quasar, of course, does have enough money to build and near 3 tanks there, but can he hold this missile ad? Looks like the dogs are going to last long enough. Yeah, all right, well, the dogs, of course, are a pretty good tool against the Predator tank because, well, the Predator tank's a bit of a slow shot, so the squad-based War Dogs, which, as we discussed earlier, actually, it's the same number of shots for a Predator tank to clear War Dogs as well as a Predator tank, so a bit of an interesting distinction there, but look at this pressure here from Victor.
Yeah, he's going for the halve though, rather than the tanks.
Unit ready.
Which makes, I mean, like, you kill a halve, you get a free tank, basically. But when you're both double halve, I don't think he can use that money. Like, he doesn't need a free tank. He needs a pop cap. Like, he has 190 tip, an extra 70 isn't doing anything from here, or 80.
And it looks like Quasar's getting back into the game there. I mean, well, obviously he's got missile number 1, but he was falling a bit further behind. The only reason he really took it was because of those War Dogs. So, really, Victor should start to snowball with the economy difference. But actually, having looked at it, they both pretty much have the same amount. And I don't know, maybe this hard pull's going to be enough. Hard to say.
Unit lost.
I love this choice from Quasar to not rebuild the halve, because he already has the economy that he needed from it. And I think Victor has done him a favor by killing that harvester, because he's up a pop cap on tanks.
Unit
Ooh,
lost.
is it
I'm
going to
not
be
sure he
enough for
should
him
have
to
built
clear
as
this
many
missile,
dogs
though?
though.
Oh, the tank's clearing up the dogs there. We got the tanks coming in from behind, but it's not just enough. Of course, Victor having 3 pads to Terrence 2 means that he comes back with missile number 2. A riveting game so far, I gotta say.
I think that Quasar going for the quad tank after his Harvest die was a really good choice. And I think if he hadn't made Dog, he might have won that missile. Because he just, like, if there was a Predator down there instead of a Dog, it would have killed that half.
Right.
But
Yeah,
the Dog did nothing, and now he's, like, he had that extra Dog that wasn't helpful. It ended up being like a 4v4 tank matchup that Victor cleanly won, which left Heron in a very bad spot. You see he's had to rebuild his second Harvester now because he's kind of out of money.
Interesting. So Quasar here pulling the Harvester onto the pads very, very early, and looking a bit nefarious here as he's got he's a little bit lower on tanks here compared to Victor. Victor, you know, up one tank basically, but now it's starting to even out a little bit. Victor also pulling the Harv. Both players again having plenty of economy, but you know, Quasar's a little bit lower there because if he does fall behind on the tank game, he might not have enough to rebuild them. But having said that, doesn't seem to be the case here. Look at this. There's action going on in the middle. Good retargeting here from Quasar, but Victor having the map positioning is all that really matters here. And with those two tanks up on the middle pad, Quasar's not going to be able to get back in. Does he get onto the pad though? No. Victor blocking him out, comes back with missile number 3, forcing this to a 3-game series. You love to see it.
Versus Terran.
Ooh, well, Quasar here, like, really feels like he's up against a wall because he dropped that game where Victor came out ahead. You know, just that, it's kind of like the turtle versus the hare here. I feel like Victor just really, you know, turtled up and he just kept going stably through the game and then finally came out ahead at the end. And, you know, that's the thing with GDI. It's definitely a slower-paced game to the Nod Mirror. So, but look at this. We got both players now going double Harv at the start, and both of them putting in the optimal position. So, going to be a bit even more competitive game, I suspect.
Unit ready.
But we do see blind double Harvest from both players. Quasar does decide to go Dogs. I don't like this. I didn't like it before. I don't like it now. Although, having said that, he did win the first missile because of the Dogs, right?
Although he could use the Dogs here to block. Look at this. He could stop the tank from even reaching the pads, but of course, the Dogs will go down in 4 shots there. So it's only a matter of time, and not hard to say if that even really matters that much. So I have to
I'm not sure this is valuable. I think if you gone Dogs and then start charging the pads and use the fact you have these tanky Dogs to absorb, or to take the first missile, that makes some sense, but slowing down Victor's first tank doesn't seem... I guess, actually, being on defense is pretty useful still. Obviously, both units have Raider, but if you can line yours up in a line and your opponent has to drive into them, then they're going to take a bunch of shots, and they have to micro properly, and you don't have to. You can just AFK.
Ooh, looking pretty risky. All right, the first exchange taking place now. Who comes out on top? As we've seen in previous games, this matters a lot, and it looks like so far it's pretty even. And in fact, nope, here we go. Quasar come out on top.
Oof, Victor doesn't even get the shots off there. That's brutal. That is very bad for Victor.
All right, well, looking pretty comfortable here for Quasar. That tank will go down, but of course, timing-wise, the Predator doesn't shoot it fast enough. So there we go. Quasar with the better positioning comes out on top, and well, you see there, Quasar just getting the slightly better targets, right? Like that's really what it comes down to here. He's focus firing on the right tanks, and that is allowing him to come out slightly ahead, and not even slightly ahead. Actually, it's quite a big deal.
Yeah, so we're seeing 3 tanks to 3. Both players actually pretty low on money. There hasn't been as much like positioning against each other. There's been a lot of action, so the Predators are swiftly killing each other. So the money really is relevant here. Look at that, Victor can drive through his own half to get some nice stacking there. Very nice.
You'll love to see
I'm just
that. Victor,
not
actually,
sure.
you're stacking up a bit
Quasar gets
better.
a free shot. The thing is, when you have double half like this, I'm not sure how much it matters when you get like the free shots and so on, because both players can just afford so many tanks.
Well, it only really matters when it comes down to the missile, right? Because, of course, if you clear their tanks and you're up ahead of tank, that could make a big difference, especially how slow these things are. So, we'll see if that takes place. Well, here we go. Victor pulling the Harvester. Brilliant play there. Quasar also trying to do the same, but it looks like the Dogs are going to make it in time, and they do!
Very nice.
Oh, the savage block there. Victor coming back, looking a little bit like game number 2 here, as he wins missile number 2, and looks like he might be taking missile number 3 as well. We'll see.
That was a nice play with Victor with the Dogs there. Knew how long he had to get across to that pad, made the Dogs just at the right time. Very nice. But now, yep, Quasar's suiciding his Harvest here. I'm not sure. I mean, he has like 90 TIV. He's not floating in tier, but I don't know if using his Harvester right now is the best play.
Unit lost.
Oh, look at that. Okay, so Quasar is starting to come out ahead here, but we're seeing both players who are pushing their tanks up a little bit further ahead than they should be, and it's actually created a bit of back and forth between these two. Now Quasar looking pretty comfortable, though. He's got 4 tanks to Victor's 3.
Yeah, and you can see the pod cap here, right? Victor can't make another tank. He has the money to, he just can't. Whereas Quasar has 4 tanks to Victor's 3. Quick Victor's about to get tank number 4, but it's so much slower. The problem is Terran's now running out of money. Like, if he loses a couple more tanks, he can't replace them. Whereas Victor definitely can.
Unit lost.
Quasar definitely has to be careful here. He needs to maintain the value out of his tanks here. Victor, he's going to come out ahead on the top there. We get a second Predator tank, or third one, sorry, from Quasar coming in from behind. But of course, he's using that other tank just to hold the pads. And now we see a Harvester pull again from Quasar. We see the dogs come out as well. The Desperation dogs almost, but he's about to clear the top pad. And those dogs should hold on long enough. It looks like this is going to be Quasar's missile. Yep,
And there it is. This is pretty much exactly what I was talking about. Quasar used double harvester to build up enough money, then sent his harvester to die and just had an extra unit. Victor had what, like 300 Tiberium at the end of that game, but it doesn't matter because he can't convert it into anything. There we go. Zeissman versus Paraphragon game number 1. We've got Nod Mirror, Jade versus Kane. Yeah, that is definitely default Kane actually. Now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think so.
New mission received.
Ooh, Basilisk and Confessor from Zeissman. Very good choice. Basilisk, of course, very good in this match.
Yeah, Basilisk would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Of course, if he makes the Basilisk, he will be unable to use it in combat, so not so good.
True that. Good stuff. Well, look at this. Okay, so again, you know, interesting that we're not seeing Nod build tank first. It's always been scout first, or well, usually bikes. But here we're seeing wheels from both sides, and now moving into tanks, of course. That is the rule there. So we'll see here. Are both players going to be able to block shots from the wheels? That's a question. Well, okay, so far, looks like Pappy G's wheels have taken some shots. And so Pappy G's tank took a shot as well, which is kind of a big deal here because if Zeissman can clear that tank out and get up ahead here, that could put him up ahead for the rest of the game.
How would you play? No one's tank rushing yet.
Ooh, look at this. All right, so Zeissman coming out on top, clearing up the bikes on that top pad as well. And both tanks here in good positioning allow him to secure that middle pad. So there it is, Zeissman coming out on top. Really good micro there. And really, it came down to Paraphragon taking a few extra shots on his tank there. Once he lost his tank, the timing just didn't work out so well for him. So, well, Zeissman takes that first missile pretty comfortably.
Yeah, and of course, player with more tanks is usually favoured in the tank mirror. That's generally how it goes. Paraphragon, it feels like, I think also people playing these games a lot, like they're kind of like, you know, like ladder matches. They're forgetting that it's a tank mirror, and what matters is having more tanks and units on the field. If you lose the first missile, but you get ahead in the War Factory mirror, that's definitely worth it. Because once you're ahead, you can stay ahead.
Okay, well, Pappy G's got everything on the line here. Can he pull up ahead? Well, not looking like it's going to be the case. A tank there does clear up the tank on the middle pad, but doesn't matter. Of course, Zeissman with the better positioning, and really, at the end of the day, the more tanks, he comes out ahead and wins the game. Well done.
Yeah, so we're going to have the Gdi Mirror now. This is going to be on open water. This is going to be a very interesting one, because this is definitely a map where you can block your opponent's pathfinding very easily. If you get units in a line from that rock down to the bottom of the map, your opponent's units will start trying to go around the top of the missile when you order them past things, and that's an absolute nightmare. So...
Oh, it's so annoying, too. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that, but like when your units just go the wrong way because you're like, hey, I'm going to throw it onto a pad, and then they start going all the way around, you're like, what the heck? But yeah, it definitely, we might see that happen, for sure.
So we again see double harvester from Paraphragon here. Really, so many double harvester GDIs. Zeissman deciding not to go double harvester. Instead, he's going to try and put a predator on Paraphragon's harvester. I feel like with GDI, it's just too slow. I mean, look, Paraphragon is already caught up to having that predator ready to go. After making a second harvester. By the time the predator gets across the map, your opponent has just made enough money to make their their predator. Look at this, he's already two predators to two predators and a dog. It's the same, except now Paraphragon has two harvesters and Zeissman doesn't. So we'll start to see every Tiberium tick we see now, the Paraphragon gets ahead, is just another 10 Tiberium more he has in this game.
Boy, yeah, and especially if Paraphragon here can win this first missile, that would be a huge deal, but... Ooh, doesn't push the dogs up ahead there. Zeissman really needed to use those to absorb some shots, and instead, he pushed the one Predator tank into Paraphragon's two, and this is actually looking pretty good for him, although, having said that, maybe he's going to clear this tank in time. It's hard to say, and actually, yes, as soon as he's cleared this tank, there it is. Wow, Paraphragon takes the first missile with double harv. He's got all the cash money he needs. Now, question will be, will he play like Quasar did and pull that Harvester eventually when he doesn't need the extra money? We'll see.
I think if it's 1 versus 2, then you can just break your opponent's economy. Like Paraphragon, look at this. 3 tanks versus 3 tanks, but Paraphragon has enough money for 2 more, while Zeissman has enough money for 0 more. So,
Right.
Paraphragon is just so far ahead in economy now. Zeissman looks like he's going to go triple tank to the top, try and push that Harvester. I think this is a reasonable plan. He's got to do something. He might get this Harvester for free. It looks like Paraphragon doesn't care though. That's the problem. Paraphragon has 210 tib. He can just AFK this Harvester. He can just suicide this Harvester. It doesn't matter anymore. Are we going to see a tank base rush from Zeissman? I don't think you can kill the entire base before the missile fires, but I applaud the effort.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like Zeissman here, I mean, clearly this is a
He's
good
getting a
workout.
3v1 though. If he kills this tank on the left and gets on the right, we could see a flip. Oh no, Paraphragon gets on the left one in time. And I think that just, I mean, like double half in the GDI mirror seems way better, honestly. Versus Paraphragon GDI mirror. I do want to see someone tank rush at least once in this tournament, but I don't know, man. It might just not happen.
Yeah, this may not be the one. I agree, though. I think it's interesting to think about because there's just so much nuance to it. But yeah, well, of course, we're not going to see that here. We got both players going Harvester first, and we'll see here what does Zeissman do. Is he going to go into another Harvester? And he does. So there's the adjustment from the first game. You like to see that. And here, kind of interesting. I guess we'll get to see the difference between when you move your first Harvester versus just sending the second one to the other tib location. Let's see. It's actually about the same, really. That's not that much different.
Both players gone double half into dogs. I think that's really weird. I don't like the dog. Like, I think if one player had just gone straight into pred, they'd have an extra pred on the player who went dogs because of pop cap. Like, it's not about the money. It's about the pop cap with double harvester.
Right. I mean, at this point in the game, they wouldn't have had enough money to go two tanks here. We'd still be waiting a little bit, but you're right. I mean, here they would have built their second Predator tank potentially. So
I think it's the third Predator tank is where it matters because look at how slow it takes for the next unit.
Right. Yeah,
if
you're right.
one of them, like, watch what happens when Paraphragon loses this dog. You see? So there it is, third Predator tank.
Oh yes.
So if he just hadn't had dogs, he'd just beat up this Predator. Look how far away Zeissman is from building another Predator tank.
No kidding.
So these dogs just end up being suicided for 0 value just because you can't afford to have them because the pop cap is too bad.
Unit lost.
Ooh, okay, so can Paraphragon extract some advantage out of this? He's got 3 tanks essentially to Zeissman's 2. Zeissman now had enough time here.
Why
Here we go.
Is Paraphragon intentionally shooting high hit point tanks?
Oh, that's kind of unfortunate. They're losing a bit of a value game there. Not targeting the right tanks, like you said. Target the high value or the high hit point tanks. You got to clear the tanks first. Now, is he going to get back onto the pad here? Here we go. So he's going to clear these 2 tanks up here. Looks like he's going to take up that top pad. And can he secure this bottom pad at the same time? Oh, man, they're so slow, aren't they? Look at this. But no, never mind. Zeissman comes in from behind and not really much blocking power, but...
Oh, Paraphragon doesn't trade. He just gets the kill on top.
What?
Outrageous.
How did that happen? Why did Zeissman's tank fire just a little bit slower? Holy cow! I can't believe that.
It must be. It's either to do with like aiming time or turret rotation is usually the case. Like if your tank has to turn its turret all the way around, then it takes it a little bit longer to fire.
What, it feels bad.
Like the same is happening
Holy
up
cow.
here. Paraphragon's tank is going to fire first. Yeah, and Zeissman's tank didn't get a shot off. It was his second tank that came in.
Unit lost.
A little bit of a mistake there from Zeissman as he focused fire 2 tanks onto a 1-hit tank, and you know, you do really want to value these shots effectively, so a little bit of a misplay there, but you know, it's not mattering too much as we see here. Zeissman now up 2 tanks, and smartly, of course, as you see the impact of having double harv here, look at these, both players have over 100 tip to their bank, so of course, as these tanks go down, they're gonna have no money to rebuild it, and now Paffy G going into Pitbull and Dogs. I'm a little surprised to see that.
Look at how far ahead Zeissman is. He's just, like, no offense to Paraphragon, he's a great player, but Zeissman is just better with tanks. He's gonna lose though. He's gonna lose to these dogs.
Oh, wait a minute, the Harvester
Oh,
will
that's so
coming in
savage.
from
Is he
behind.
not? Maybe
The
not?
dogs
Okay,
will get
just
cleared.
about got there. I really
look,
thought he
it's
was just gonna lose to double dog there after winning the tank mirror so hard.
Oh, it was close. But Paraphragon there very
It's a
smartly
hard
pulled that
pull.
Harvester. But hold on a minute, Zeissman with his own Harvester. He can't stop the tank and the Harvester at the same time. So, but hold on a minute, never mind. Paraphragon really fighting here. You'll love to see this. This is what it's all about. Really, Zeissman trying to get back here. He drops this game. He's out, so he's got to push hard. And Paraphragon looking pretty good now. But Zeissman has the pass. Can the tank hold on? And no! Oh man, the timing here, guys. This is just absolutely crazy close. But can they do it now? Oh, look at that. Paraphragon had more tanks at the end, but he didn't have them close enough to get the extra value. So Zeissman here makes his way back in, and well, it's really anybody's game at this point. But Zeissman has so much more money.
Oh, Paraphragon went second harvester again, but there's no Tiberium for it to harvest.
Oh man.
Oh, that's a misplay.
That's how nutty this game's gotten.
We're about to
Look
hit
at
4
this.
minutes. That's when the patches run out. It's gonna be an economy game at that point. And that's
Yeah, and I
Zeissman's
mean-
5 tanks to 2. I think he's pretty heavily favored here.
Yeah, I don't see what he does. I mean, Paraphragon could use that second harvester to put it onto a pad there, and it has a lot of health. It takes 5 Predator tank shots to clear, so it can survive a decent amount of time, longer than dogs can, and Predator tanks. So it does have a useful advantage in that sense. But look at this. I mean, Zeissman, holy cow, just so many
So
tanks.
far ahead in tanks. So far ahead in tanks. I think Paraphragon almost stole this one, but I think Zeissman was in control most of the game. He almost let Paraphragon sneak it off him, but no. I think he just beat him. He just played better tank mirror.
Yep, I have to agree. I have to agree. It was real close, and you know what? Some of it came down to timing. Like, especially that first missile there, where Zeissman's tank fired just slightly longer enough that it didn't return fire. It was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. That was amazing. And, like, that minute difference really changed who got the missile. Like,
Here we go. And this is, look at that sweet I don't think we've had a match where both players were in Tiberium yet.
nope, I don't think so. Oh, except for, oh no, both players, right? Yeah, I think we have.
Which is kind of insane.
Right? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, well, looks like Alicia's going to go double harvest. She's moved that harvester to the second tip field location, so I wonder if that's what she's doing. We do see Roboto going early bikes here, and this could play off quite big, especially if Alicia is planning to go a second harv. Now, he hasn't put those bikes up near there, but she does know there's a unit there. So, looked like Alicia might have gone double harv, but she's pivoted over to a tank potentially, which I think was the right call.
Yeah, I like going tank first. Although, interesting that when she sees bikes, she makes her own bikes after the tank. So, oh, here she goes, moving in with the bikes in the tank. Pretty even exchange, except that Alicia uses the bikes to shoot Roboto's tank. So Roboto's tank is a little bit less healthy. Oh, but there goes Alicia's tank.
Oh, yeah,
Wow,
that
Alicia
was a big
behind
hit.
now in the tank mirror by quite a bit.
Rolling out.
Very interesting.
Well, let's see what Roboto does here. Of course, he does need to get some value out of that tank there in order to come out ahead. So we'll see what Alicia can do here. But of course, doesn't look like Roboto is going to give up this missile. So looking pretty comfortable for him here. Though those 2 pads taken, well, actually all 3, and there it is. Yeah, actually that exchange there at the very beginning, that pretty much dictated the missile who was going to go to. And well, Roboto came out on top surprisingly. So there we go.
Alicia wisely not letting her tank get 2v1. She just lets the missile go. That's the correct play here. But now, it's triple tank versus triple tank, but Robotos are very unhealthy. It's only one hit to get rid of them. There we go, there goes one of them. There goes the second, third one. Roboto did not have that third tank involved in that fight at all. And he only gets a shot off on a wheel. Now suddenly the tables are turned. Alicia is up a tank. I don't want to be behind a tank against Alicia, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, Roboto here pushed up a little bit too aggressively, trying to go after a harvester kill there, which, you know, not a huge mistake, but it did mean that Roboto pushed his tanks in a little bit too far. Now Alicia with much better positioning, a complete contrast to how the first missile went, and, well, it looks like Alicia's going to comfortably take missile number 2. There it is.
Yeah, I think this really, the critical moment in this game was when Roboto had his 3 tanks versus Alicia's 3, but he had that tank on 1 hit point not to get involved in the fight.
Yes.
So he basically had a 2v3 and he fell really far behind there. Interestingly though,
Another
Alicia
tank
decided to
went
go
down.
like double bikes here, and I think that's let Roboto back in it. Because the tanks are so much better than the bikes.
Well, it's all about pop cap, right? Like, you spend that pop cap on bikes when you could be building tank. I mean, that's kind of what it's coming down to here. And
He wants
Roboto
that
now
harvester
got
kill, that's what it's all
tanks.
about. That's what she's doing.
Whoa.
She's just desperate
She
for
is
that
gonna
harvester
get it,
kill.
looks
I don't
like,
think...
but-
I mean, the harvester kill does matter in a tank mirror, but not if it costs you a tank and 2 bikes to get it.
Tank on the move.
Yeah, and look at this. Roboto coming in with 4 tanks to Alicia's 2. Alicia here, a very good player, though. I mean, maybe there's something she can do here to manipulate the micro, but so far not looking like the case. Roboto here still up 3 tanks. 2 tanks now. Oh, and Alicia's got no tanks. So, and there's
Imagine
not that
having
much
0
time on the
tanks
clock,
in a tank mirror.
Moving.
right? And look at this, Alicia has no money. She is completely broke, whereas Roboto has lost two tanks now to deal with these bikes. All of these bikes have lost one member each, so their DPS has dropped significantly. Like, they're not going to be nearly as useful. Yeah, I mean, Roboto here looking pretty good. Okay, well, of course, what it comes down to is who's going to take the pads, and yeah, I mean, there's just no way Roboto gives this up. He's got the bikes on the far left. Harvester coming in behind just in case, but didn't even really need it. There it is, Roboto taking game number 1.
Control.
Okay, so Middle Oasis, I mean, way different than everything we've seen so far. This map, of course, plays very differently from every other map in the game, and especially with GDI, I think this is where dogs are going to be kind of important, right? Because you do need something quick to get to pads in time, and just blocking something off, especially a slow-moving Predator tank, might just be the way to do it. But
rush,
look
let's
at
go!
this!
Yes,
All
Roboto,
right.
my favorite player in the world. Let's go!
Oh boy. What does Alicia do here? She does look at her economy, right? She's got 60 tib. She's about to get a tank, but these dogs, I think, are going to last long enough. He needs to get 2 shots from this Predator tank on to that Harvester before the Predator shoots at it. So I think he's got this, and he's going to get the Harv kill.
Yeah, and I think this could actually be game over as well.
Oh,
I mean, maybe like Alicia immediately rebuilding the Harvester is definitely the play, because once you've invested the money in a Harvester, you have to get that money back. The only advantage you have as the Harvester player is that you can harvest. So you have to get that money back.
Unit lost.
Now, here we go. So, of course, Roboto here going to try and capitalize on that Harvester kill. He's got 2 tanks to Alicia's 1. You did see there, though, in that exchange, that Roboto lost his tank. Alicia's tank survived it. There was a way there for him, I thought, that he could use the dogs to potentially overcome that value difference. But nonetheless, you were going to get another Harvester kill. And, of course, at this point, Roboto either builds a Harv or he just keeps building tanks. And maybe he does both. We'll see.
Kind of think, I don't know if he should keep building tanks. I think maybe he should build a Harv here. Like, he's not even that far ahead on tanks anymore. He's going to start falling behind because Alicia's going to be harvesting. If she's figured out now she needs to use dogs to buy time because he doesn't have a Harvester. Oh, there it is, Harvester. I think it's a great play from Roboto. I think if he hadn't built Harvester, he would have actually lost to Alicia just blocking him out and getting the economy lead. But making his own Harvester here, I think, is a great choice.
Yeah, at some point, Alicia's economy is going to be strong enough that she'll be able to build tanks to respond, and then Roboto's going to get locked out. So yeah, I have to agree. I think the Harvester here was exactly
Can we let's take a moment to talk about what happened in this game, right? Roboto tank rushed. He kills 2 Harvesters. Look who's now winning the game.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
Harvester kills don't win games. I'm sorry to say it. I know that the entire Rivals community will vilify me for saying such nonsense, but the player who got more Harvester kills is about to lose. And in the last game, Alicia got a Harvester kill and Roboto didn't, and Alicia lost. Like, consistently, the players getting more Harvester kills are losing the game.
Unit lost.
Yeah, and actually the person winning is the one that's been harvesting more. That's really what it comes down to. So Alicia harvesting more, has more money in the bank. You can see it now, playing big dividends for her because she's got more tanks, and Roboto can't really respond. Now, on a 3-pad map like this, maybe there's a way for Roboto to cheese a victory, but that's not even going to happen here. We see this tank is about to go down.
It's like completely over now. I don't even know how this happened. Like, I watched this game and I don't know what happened. Like, Roboto got 2 Harvester kills and then somehow he's dead. I don't understand how this happened. I'm baffled.
Yeah.
I can't understand where he managed to lose so badly after getting 2 Harvester kills. Because it felt like...
there was a...
Unit lost.
I was going to say there was a point there where Roboto gets a Harvester kill, and he's left behind with 1 Harvester, 2 dogs, and Alicia has a Predator tank with 1 more shot of health than Roboto's Predator tank. And what I thought happened, what I saw there is instead of using the dogs to get in the way of Alicia's Predator tank, instead they just went 1v1 against each other. And so as a result, Alicia's tank won at that point. And then from there, she started to slowly claw her way back because she had map positioning, plus she had the extra tank. So I think that's really where things started to change around. And look at this. I mean, Roboto has no way into this game. Alicia, with all the money in the world and all 3 pads, takes it pretty comfortably. So, yeah, but I really do think the pivotal moment there was right after that Harvester kill. He just didn't maintain the value out of his tanks. And without his own Harvester, that's so important. Like, it's great to get the kill, but then you also have to you have to maintain that advantage. Otherwise, it's just going to fall flat. And that's...
Roboto versus Alicia. Alicia did win the coin flip and pick GDI. We're on Stonewall. So we are going to be seeing Predator Mirror, but the interesting question is, are we going to see double half? This is a very safe double Harvester map. And we have seen double half consistently winning in GDI Mirrors, so... There it is, blind, straight up, both players double half, both players moving their halves to the top, as is, I believe, correct.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Roboto could have tried to go for a Predator up top, but I don't think it makes sense because the rock there, right? It creates too big of a choke point that it would be very simple for Alicia to just block that with some dogs and then buy some time, right? So
Yeah. Also, look at this. Roboto moved his Harvester forward a tile. I actually think this is a really good play because by the time Predators are in position to pressure that, I don't think it's gonna matter. But when you get to like whatever it is, 1 minute 30 or something, when the Harvester first finishes their first set of Tiberium, his Harvester is going to move back and be safer. Although actually, now that I think about it, by that point you probably want to lose a Harvester anyway, so I'm not sure it is better.
Ooh, look at this exchange going on here. Roboto falling a bit behind as a single tank took 2 shots, and now he's going to lose his tank. And look at this, he's already falling behind now.
Oh, it doesn't even get the shot off. That's it, I think, man. I gotta say, I think Roboto might just already be dead.
Yeah, he pushes units up just a little bit too far ahead there, and that's a big issue, right? Like, Roboto needs to make sure his tanks stay together. And even splitting them up by 1 hex, you just don't want to be in that situation. And maybe now that Alicia's pressured the Harvester, maybe there's a way for him to come back, because it looks like he's going to clear that tank there on the top pad, although he moved him out of the way. But doesn't matter, Alicia now has got enough time to bring in another tank, so that's going to be it. Purple does get on the far left there, but of course we see 2 tanks there moving onto the pads, and Harvester coming in from behind as well, just in case. But who's going to win the top exchange there? It looks like Alicia actually is, because she's got that tank coming in from behind. So as long as she gets the block on these dogs on the far right pad there, that should be the missile. Oh, wait a minute, what's she doing? She's moving the tank off by accident. Oops, I think that was a bit of a misplay there, but doesn't matter. Really, it's just a matter of time at this point. Alicia's got both those pads secured pretty well down, so that's going to be it. And missile 1 going to Alicia.
Yeah, that Harvester died a little too early for Roboto. I think when his first tank was moving across, and Alicia's first tank moved across, they like saw each other. And then Roboto moved his tank down, and Alicia just went up towards the half. I don't know why Roboto moved his tank down. I think it's because his Harvester was pushed up. He needed to aggressively be engaging the 1v1 there to avoid Alicia pushing his Harvester, and I think that's where he fell behind.
Well, and the
Look
other
at this
thing I thought he might
stacking.
do
3
there.
tank versus 3 tank Pitbull. You love to see it.
Ooh, hold on a minute though. It looks like Roboto might be able to come out on top because Alicia has that Predator tank shooting at the Harvesters. So if maybe Roboto comes out on top, like, because at this point now, money doesn't really matter too much. Both players have lots. So really, actually, at this point, Roboto losing that Harvester might be a boon, but never mind. Alicia keeping her tanks together, outvaluing Roboto here in the tank game. Looks like Alicia's got this under wraps.
Yeah, I also think that, again, like, that Harvester died, but it's maybe a little too early. Roboto can afford lots of tanks, but he's actually pretty low. And you see here, he just went 2 tanks in a row. That means that he did not build a tank when he could have for a while, which is bad. You really don't want to be not using your bot cap in this matchup. Especially when that's the only advantage you have, because you've lost one of your Harvesters. Like, he needed to have the extra tank on the field way before Alicia did to have a chance.
Ooh, can he clear this?
He actually might take this, though. This top pad.
The Harvester there is going to be a problem, but of course 3 shots here is going to clear most of that Harvester, and then 2 more shots will clear it down. So, but having the split of the shots between defending the Harvester and the pad there allowed Alicia to clear up those Predator tanks. So, well, no, never mind. Roboto doesn't make it back in, and Alicia takes it down 2-0.
Roboto only had 1 hit point tank at the top, the one shooting the Harvester, and once that went down, he had no pad control. Kane versus Kane, and one of them wearing that sweet winter coat.
It looks so great.
New objective available.
Okay, and well, Guderian here playing like Quasar, not opting to put any tech except, well, Avatar. Got to have his lucky charm in there, so has decided to include Avatar in there. But either way, we do see Flame Tank in the other side there. Nice to see that. Of course, it is a tank tournament, not that Flame Tank's available, but yeah, you like to see that.
I respect the Flame Tank pick a lot.
Absolutely, right?
Unit ready.
Position.
Okay, well, and this is where things get interesting, Blade, right? Because, of course, at the very beginning of the game can change things dramatically. As, both players, well, they're not going to have much of an economy difference. But here, we see Surface going wheel and tank. He's going to try and use the wheels to block shots, and he took 1 shot, but both tanks tanked the same amount of shots. So it really hasn't done much there at all.
I'm pretty interested to see the nod on this map, because we've seen a lot of GDI double halves, but we haven't seen a nod on this map yet. I think the wheel first is correct. I think the slight delay in your next tank is not a big deal. And if you can get it to absorb even 1 shot, like here, there you go, just absorb a tank shot, that's worth it. That's worth the 10 tip right there. Just absorb 2.
Look at that.
Look how far ahead Surface is now, because that tank shot wheel twice. He's just miles ahead. I think the wheel first is definitely the right play in the nod mirror.
Very
All
smart
he needs to do now
positioning
is
by
just
Surface
back
there, too.
up. Yeah. This is it. It's exactly
look
what
at
Surface
this.
does. Perfect play
Oh,
from
brilliant.
Surface.
And see, this is what you got to do with a low hit point tank like this. Now, he is going to lose that tank there, but actually, no, he didn't. Never mind. He is going to maintain the positioning on the top pad there. And what Surface really did there,
Perfect play.
he took that low hit point tank and he made sure that he was out of the way of getting shot. He really made sure that his higher hit point tank HP tanks were going to take the shots, which allows him to gain the value out of those extra shots from that low hit point tanks. So that's just allowing him to get up ahead. And look at that, 4 tanks. 4 tanks on the table, now 3, but
this is perfect tank mirror play from Surface. Absolutely textbook. Using his low hit point tanks behind the high hit point tanks, using the wheels to absorb. Guderian's just dead. It's 4 tanks to 0. Like it's so over. Or sorry, 4 tanks to 1. Now 2.
yeah, there's no way.
It's about to be 5 tanks to 2. Like this one's done. Surface also look at this. Surface doesn't need to push because he knows that he's ahead. He knows that the only way he loses is by taking a bad engagement. So if he just sits back in a line like this, what does Guderian do?
Yeah, he's forced to take a bad matchup. Exactly, right? Like, he's never going to... He can't dictate the matchups anymore. I mean, you're right. He's just pushed all the way back. And, well, yeah, just a very well-played game here by Surface, folks. If you're trying to figure out, what do I do in the tank here? Well, this is it.
Yeah, this is really just textbook play. This is absolutely perfect, I think. And, like, obviously, Alicia, fantastic player. But I think that the difference between the way that Surface just lined up his tanks and went, I'm ahead, you can't win, and Alicia threw units at Roboto's Harvester and managed to lose the game. I think that really does show which one was the correct thing to do. Like, Surface was just like, I'm already ahead. The only way I ever lose is by letting you use like your Harvester hit point as a resource.
Establishing
There he is.
control.
Oh,
That's all right,
Guderian
he'll
with
come
the
through.
white coat Solomon. My money's on him. Actually, it's not because it's Surface, but
1. New objective.
white coat
available.
Solomon is a big upgrade.
Definitely, yeah. And okay, so both players setting their harvest to the initial, the normal tip location. Of course, it doesn't really matter in this case since you're not expecting harvester pressure. But Guderian here going for that second harv right away, which I feel like's the right call. Surface nearly tried to throw the dogs over there to block it, but he realized it wasn't going to make it in time, so pulls it back. But this does mean Surface is going to be behind on economy for this first missile.
Harvester ready.
Yeah, both players going double half. I think Surface taking his cue from Guderian. When he sees the double half from Guderian, he's like, okay, I guess we're doing double half. I don't think Surface wanted to double half, but he doesn't really have a choice because he knows that Guderian will just out-predator him, and that's what will dictate the matchup.
Well, speaking of that, let's see if Surface here can get some value out of these War Dogs. So the War Dogs took 1 shot, but there's enough time here for the Predator tank to reload. So looks like they're just going to shoot each other. Yeah, there we go. So that dog going down didn't really gain a lot of value there. Now we see 2 tanks coming up from behind. So far, really not much of a difference. But again, you look
There
at
it
the
is.
economy
There
difference.
it is. The dog absorbs the
Oh.
shot. Surface gets a freebie.
So that could be a huge deal here, but, I mean, Guderian now with more money under his belt. Actually, I haven't said that. Surface does too. He's just a little bit slow there. Okay, finally gets another Predator coming in from behind. The Guderian
This-
here needs to build another tank, and there it is. All right,
This
so
is the
actually, it's
problem
starting
with
to look
the
like
dogs.
Guderian's a bit ahead.
This is the problem with the dogs when you're double half. Like, you just don't have as many predators on the field as quickly because you're pop capped when you have double harvester.
Right, right. Okay, and I mean, it's starting to even out a little bit here. Guderian getting a 2v1 on that tank is a big deal. Surface is going to lose a tank as well, but he's got another 2v1 going on here. So, it's hard to say actually who's really winning this right now. But it's pretty close, and it's looking like so far Surface is a bit ahead.
It's very interesting how, despite the fact that obviously both players, all their units have Raider, the defender's advantage is still real.
Unit lost.
It is, right? Yeah, no kidding, eh? That is interesting. Okay, so the middle pad's going to go down. We see another Predator tank coming in from behind. It looks like... Okay, hold on a minute. I think it... Oh, so Surface cleared up the tank, but doesn't matter. Guderian with better positioning gets the tank there first. However, that tank's going to go down, and Surface getting the tanks on the far left. He's going to be able to block these tanks from coming in. They're not going to be able to clear it in time, so that's going to be Surface's
Nuclear
missile.
weapon launched.
Very nicely played from Surface. Definitely a few situations there where things could have gone wrong, but he never lets it, never gets it out of control. And we see Guderian with more money, but Surface with slightly more tanks, which is obviously what matters.
Exactly. Yep, and now that's starting to snowball a little bit. Surface winning that engagement. He does get an extra tank. And that low hit point tank is basically
feels
-1.
bad, man. The thing is, both players are going to end up with such a glut of Tiberium that, like, the getting the efficient trades is not as important. Like, yeah, Surface is going to be up, like, you know, 80 tib, which in a 1/2 mirror is an extra tank, but in a 2/2 mirror is just an extra 80 tib in the bank you can't spend.
That's
You
right.
have lost.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're right, because the pop cap is actually having a bigger impact at that point. And it's Surface realizing that, pulls that Harvester. Very
Yeah.
smart play. We are about halfway charged on the clock, so he should have enough money to sustain himself up until the firing of this missile. And look at this, the bunching up of the tanks on the middle pad there, getting better matchups overall, outvaluing these tanks to great effect. And Guderian here, he's going to pull his own Harvester as well, try to get these Predators cleared in time, but not going to be timely enough. And there it is, Surface takes piece number 2.
And that is the payoff. That is the payoff for being the guy who has the slightly more efficient trades, is that you can put your Harvester on the back pad, and then you have an extra tank up front, which is what really matters.
Battlefield control.
Okay, here we go. All right, yeah, game 1. As of course we had to redo the first game there. We had a bit of an issue with the order, but hey, you know what happens, no big deal. But here we are moving on to Pillbox, and all right, okay, so different tech units here from Alicia. She's got Widowmaker, Centurion, and Confessor. Oh,
Not a fan of the
those are
Widowmaker
some of my
choice.
favorite. No,
Not a
really?
fan
I
of the
love
Widowmaker choice.
I love Widowmaker myself, but yeah, kind of bad in the tank war, right?
So of course, Quasar not going to tank rush on this map. This is not a tank rushing map. I think the main thing I regret with this tournament is not picking the map pool myself. I think that's what I should have done.
Oh.
Shouldn't have let Kenny do it. I should let myself do it. Because like there's that free Sentinels map, which I think would have just been absolute banger for tank rushing. I would love to have that in the pool.
Okay, so to start things off here, Quasar went wheel first, just get some scouting information, and well, that's all he's done so far. He did take a shot from a tank there, so hasn't done much there in terms of gaining the value in the tank matchup. But here we go, we're going to see a push up in the middle, and Alicia getting both tanks firing on the wheels there allowed Quasar to get a free shot, but he doesn't manage to take it. So now here he might get one with this wheel.
There
but,
is 2 free
look at
shots.
that.
Let's go.
Ooh. That is a big deal here. Can he capitalize that into a missile win here? Let's see. So here, Alicia bunching her tanks up. Really nice job there. But, Quasar coming out ahead with that initial shot there, getting a little bit of extra value. And now, Alicia's not going to be able to push onto that middle pad. That gives Quasar missile number 1.
Warhead launched.
Very nice from Quasar there. And again, I think you see, like, the wheels are good. Like, you're never going to get, you're almost never going to get a free tank shot when it's just one wheel versus, so one wheel, one tank versus one tank. Because you're never going to let your tank get into that position. But once there starts being like 3 tanks on each side, it becomes so complicated to not accidentally shoot the wheels with at least one of them. Absorbing that tank shot is a big deal. I'll tell you what, I'm also really sad that Alonso no longer plays Rivals. Because he loved tank mirrors, and he loved using wheels in tank mirrors. And I think we would have seen a lot of very nice plays from Alonso.
Well, look at this. So after that, a huge exchange there between the two of them. Quasar just manages to come out on top. Quite a few mistakes from both sides, actually. Quasar there sometimes pushing his low hit point tank down, not allowing it to retarget onto tanks before he pulled it back, and it still just continued to fire on Alicia's wheels. So Quasar actually made a couple of mistakes there, but didn't really matter too much, and we see now he's quite up ahead with 4 tanks to Alicia's 2.
Yeah, and Quasar looking very strong right now, because as you say, there's more tanks.
Oh, look at that. I mean, this is just looking a little bit one-sided here for Quasar, and he might be able to take it back, but Alicia here, smart player as well. We'll see what she pulls off here. So nice movement there, moving both of those tanks in and just clearing it in 2 shots there, immediately synchronizing the shots together. But, of course, we're going to talk about the pads more than we are the tanks, and here we go. So can Alicia make a push back here? We see that, no, Quasar's got the middle pad secured well, pretty much down pat, and there it is. Quasar takes it 2-0. Let's do it.
Establishing battlefield.
McNeil again, a terrible choice. Oh, both terrible choices. McNeil and Strongarm, what are you doing?
2, 1.
Right? Where's the solo?
Horrible choices.
No Jackson either.
Juggernaut Rupture Zone from Alicia, very nice.
That is
Oh,
very
and
nice, I
Terran,
agree.
here we go, Tank Rush, my man, let's go.
Right.
And Alicia's gone blind double Harvester.
Oh,
Absolutely
man, okay.
amazing.
Well, here we are, folks. We're going to
Absolutely
see exactly
amazing.
what we were just talking about play out, and yeah, Quasar could get a giant advantage right now. There's one thing for sure. There's no way Alicia responds in time to clear this tank in order to stop it from getting the Harvester kills. So this
Yeah,
is
he's
Terran's-
gonna
this
get
Quasar's
one for
Harvester.
sure. Whether he gets 2, I'm not sure. I think he gets both,
He might
honestly.
get 2.
I
Let's
think
see
he gets
here.
both.
He just has to get 2 shots with the tank, and then he's got that Harvester for sure. So 1 shot. Can he get the second one before the tank gets there in time? And
This is
yes.
just, I mean, like, obviously
Oh,
Alicia...
he's retargeting.
Alicia's in some trouble here, but I think we should take a second to talk about how well she just played this. She used her dogs to ensure there was an open route for her tank to get to Quasar's tank to defend. So Quasar could not block with his double dogs. And I think this puts her back in the game. Because Quasar's now gone double Harvester. So Alicia has 2 tanks to his 0. I think Alicia's back in the game now. I think Quasar maybe messed this up. I think he should have gone... I don't think he should have made the Harvest as soon as he got the first Harvester kill. I think he should have gone for a second tank and then Harvester to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, maybe. Wow, well, that's an interesting thing you point out there because you're 100% right there. Alicia maintained her positioning, which allowed her to get back into action. And that's very important because if Quasar blocks with the dogs there, that's really what he needed to do to continue that. Because if he does that, then there's no way that he doesn't get that second Harvester. But
Yeah,
Alicia,
if he gets that second Harvester, I think it's a blowout. Because then he doesn't need 2 Harvesters. Yeah. Then he just goes like 1 Harvester and mass tank because he's got so much extra money that he can make as many tanks as Alicia. With only 1 Harvester.
Yeah. But just goes to show that even though Quasar really did have the right strategy there doing the tank rush with the dogs, even though Alicia went double blind hard, didn't matter. She found a way back in. So, yeah, you know, it's interesting, right? Makes it seem like it's so one-sided. And, of course, we talk about the fact that it is a big advantage, but there are ways to come back, and that is what Alicia's doing, and that is just one of the reasons why she's been considered the best player in Rivals history.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think she also has so much experience with these kind of decks. I think she's been pred rushed, like, a lot of times with GDI, and she, like, has an idea of how to defend against it.
Now look at this. Alicia here got all of her tanks grouped up together, but Quasar kept them in a line. So, although I have to say, it looks like Quasar is winning the value game here. I don't know, maybe Alicia wasn't targeting the full hit point tanks. Maybe she just wasn't getting enough shots off here. But, again, it's gotten pretty even overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising how close it looks right now. And again, like, both players are so rich, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're both double halving, it just doesn't matter. Quasar pulling half first, I think that's a really good play. It's too slow, though! Oh, Quasar, you fool! It looked like he should have had that, I think. Pulling the Harvester was the right play, but...
Well, and he did it so early, too. Like, obviously he had to, but he pulled it early enough to make it all the way up to that top pad, and then all he had to do was micro it 1 hex over, and he's stopping that missile from firing. Feels bad, man. Feels bad.
It really does. Look at how much money Alicia has. Like, this Harvester kill doesn't actually matter. I think look how much money they both have. I think this Harvester kill does Quasar a favor. I think he's gonna be an extra tank now. I think it's gonna end up hurting Alicia pretty badly. He doesn't need the money, like, so the extra pop cap is really good for him. Now he looks like he's going for Harvesters. Again, it doesn't make sense. Both players have more money they can spend and just need pop cap. So going after Harvesters is just strictly incorrect.
Oh, it's so close here. Look at this. Of course, we see a bit of a grouping up here. Quasar now getting 4 tanks to Alicia's 3. Alicia now losing another tank. Quasar slowly getting an advantage here. And good job here putting his tanks together, but Alicia doing a little bit better of a job from that. And here we see 2 tanks fire on that one-shot tank. Again, Quasar falling a little bit behind now. We've got a Harvester pull coming in from behind as well. But Quasar maintaining positioning here, getting a 2v1. He's splitting his tanks up just a little bit, but not enough to get him out of position here. So, again, you know what? Looking pretty good here for Quasar.
Alicia actually out of Tiberium now. Like, there's no Tiberium left on her side of the map.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, she's harvested it all. Oh boy, these last tanks are going to make a big difference here. We see Quasar pulling that Harvester. Alicia trying to do the same thing, trying to get some value out of it. And actually using it to absorb shots is a very good idea. As we see there, Quasar get 1 shot off on that Harvester. Is not where he wants to be. He needs to be focusing on these tanks. And so far, it looks like it's pretty even. It's actually very difficult to say who's coming out on top. But here, Quasar getting 3v1 there.
Alicia's winning. Alicia's playing this tank a little better for sure.
It's so close, but
she's out of money now. Like, that's it. She's done.
Oh, hold on a minute. Can he come back here? No, this isn't going to be enough. The dogs there are just a bit of a desperation pull. We see the dogs there are going to go down very, very quickly here to these 3 tanks, and it's just a matter of time now. You're absolutely right. Alicia here dictating the matchup just a little bit better, put her in a better position, which allowed these tanks to come out ahead, and that gives Alicia the game.
I think Quasar pulled his Harvester way too soon. Way too soon. Like,
yeah,
he didn't really need the extra. He already had an extra pop cap because he only had 1 Harvester to her too. He didn't need the additional pop cap of pulling that Harvester, but he did need the money. Alicia ran out of money completely, but so did Quasar because he pulled his Harvester. I think if he had left his Harvester where it was, he could have beaten her on economy because she would have just been out of money. It's gonna be Nod on Stonewall.
Establishing battle.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so game number 3, and you gotta love to see Jade versus Jade. I mean, you know, that was what they did on game number 1, but always love to see Jade. And okay, let's take a look at these. It's the same tech units. I guess Alicia hasn't decided to change up the deck, but you know what? They're 3 solid choices, so I can't fault her for that. And okay, well, this is actually very interesting. I haven't seen this yet, which is a double Harvester mirror from both players playing Nod. So that's something we haven't got to see yet. And, you know, thinking about it, it does make a lot of sense, actually, that it would work out similarly to how the GDI matchup works out, because then it just means that you can continue to build lots and lots of tanks. But, you know, like Blade was pointing out sooner or earlier, was that bikes are a pretty good catching mechanic. They're good at 30 cost, where Pixel at 40 isn't quite as impactful, so you don't tend to see it as much. But let's see what happens here. So Quasar, all right, pushing up initially with these wheels, and he's not so far going to gain shots from it and try to get some free shots against Alicia's tanks there. So just really for some scouting information. And now a bit of a problem. We see Alicia doubling up and getting 2 shots on that 1 tank. And this is exactly where things are going to start to fall apart, as we see Quasar now down 1 tank and Alicia up a tank. So that's a big deal. Granted, there are ways for him to come back. Maybe if he can start to split these tanks up from Alicia like she is now that she's pressuring the Harvester, it could mean that Quasar gets a little bit back into it in the value game. But look at this, nice pressure on the Harvester at the top there. Quasar actually even pulling it back to stop the kill from taking place, and looks like he's going to clear out that 1 hit point tank. There it goes. But again, here, Quasar going 1 tank to Alicia's 2. Not a situation you want to be in. So, well, we're actually, you know, one thing I haven't pointed out yet is about the timing in these games. We're a minute and a half into the game, which is a very long time for a first missile, but in these tank wars, that's not all that unusual. It's been great to see a little bit of extra Rivals action. And, well, can Quasar come back into the game here? No, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Alicia here again, just continuing to outvalue Quasar. Of course, she is going to throw a tank down to the bottom pad. That does mean Quasar will eventually win this top pad, but with the bikes coming in from behind, no, that's not going to be enough. So there we go. All right, Alicia taking this down, missile number 1.
Yeah, and she's probably going to be able to pressure this Harvester now, because it's already low. Alicia looking very strong. Interestingly enough, the Nod double halve mirror, I think because the tanks are faster and die quicker, people don't have as much money spare.
Maybe that's true. That's a good point, actually.
Like, I mean, look
Yeah,
at Quasar.
actually,
He's double harvesting this pretty much the whole game, right? But he's only got 60 tips. It's because the tanks kill each other very quickly and they move very quickly. So a lot more tanks die in a short space of time.
Yeah, and you know what? Quasar has definitely been losing a lot more tanks than Alicia has. That has been pretty much going on throughout that whole first missile. So, yeah, it does really speak to the fact, like, why their economies are so different, even though both of them are double harving. And I gotta say, I don't know how Quasar makes his way back into this. I mean, maybe Alicia makes the mistake of killing a Harvester or something like that. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's much Alicia could do here to lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna come down to timing, I guess. Like, if she just happens to lose a bunch of low hit point tanks near the end of a missile, that maybe could get Quasar back into it, but she looks pretty strong here. And so interesting to see the difference between the Nod double halve and the GDI double halve. Like, Quasar is broke. Like, just straight broke, even though he's been double halving the whole game. This would never happen in the GDI mirror.
Okay, well, just like you said, it all does come down to pad play at the end, and, well, it's not looking too strong here for Quasar. Of course, that low hit point tank is going to move down to the bottom pad. It looks like Quasar is going to try and pressure the top there and clear out the Harvester, but his own Harvester is actually going to go down. And with way less money in the bank than Alicia's got, it doesn't matter. As soon as Alicia overcomes these tanks, she's going to keep rebuilding tanks, and Quasar's not going to have anything other than bikes to rely on. So, yeah, he's pretty much just out of the game at this point, and, well, there she goes. Oh, wait, never mind. Alicia's just doing a little dancing there, but, yeah, of course, Alicia does win that second missile.
Pretty dominant performance for Alicia there.
Battlefield control.
All right, McNeil versus Strongarm again. Oh.
3, 2, 1. New objective available.
Okay, so I guess the question is, I mean, do they continue to go double harv with GDI, or maybe are we going to see a single harv GDI match? Probably not. I'd be surprised if we did. And nope, that's not going to be the case, as we've seen throughout this whole tournament that just going double harv makes the most sense. I did wonder, though, if maybe there was going to be a tank rush, right? Because this map's not bad for it.
I just want to see more tank rushes, man. Is that too much to ask?
Right? I know. I would too. It's really exciting when it happens. Okay, so Quasar feeling things out here. That's what he's been doing so far, so not really changing too much from his game plan there. We see the dogs here just pushing the tank back a little bit, which is kind of interesting, I guess. You're stopping it from getting it into position a bit sooner, but generally speaking, though, in these games, being out of position has just been a real bad thing, so I'm not so sure there's much value in doing that.
This is why Quasar likes having the dog even after double half, so he can get his tanks to the middle first. I mean, it doesn't really seem... Maybe it's good. It doesn't. Certainly later on, when there's a huge number of tanks, putting them in a line has been very effective. But now he's kind of lost the middle position anyway, so I'm not really sure this dog did anything.
Okay, so 3 shots to 3 shots each here. 2 shots, 5 shots, 6 shots. So it's actually pretty even, but Alicia getting that extra Predator tank kill is a big deal. And now Quasar with that low hit point tank is 1 more shot to go before it goes down. And Alicia, she's got 3 pretty healthy tanks, so she's doing quite well to start off here.
Yeah, Quasar with that 1 hit point tank. They both look like they're kind of waiting for tank number 4. But the thing is, when you're both double halving, like, your tank number 4 is going to be about the same time as their tank number 4.
That's right.
They don't really get an advantage by waiting for the 4th tank. You kind of just need to... I guess it's just all about getting a position where your opponent gets out of position. If they mess up their micro one time...
Now we see here, all the tanks are congregating in the center here. Alicia throwing that tank to the far left to try and hold the pads. Of course, she needs it in action, so she pulls it forward. And good call, because look at this. She's getting a little bit more value out of her tanks than Quasar is, and that's pulling her up ahead. Of course, Quasar could try to get on that back pad, but it's not going to make it there in time. So Alicia takes missile number 1.
Yeah, it kind of seems like Alicia just too good at tank wars.
She is really good. She's a monster at it.
Unit ready.
Quasar doing his best, but just can't beat her at tank
Unit
wars.
lost.
Well, on this map, though, there is a bit of a different angle in the fact that these harvesters are very close to the pads, so there is a possibility to pressure them without having to worry too much about, losing positioning with the tanks. So that might be a bit of a different angle that we'll see play out in this, because as we're seeing here, Quasar slowly starting to make his way back in. He's got more... Alicia's making his way back in, and Quasar, he's actually not looking too great here. Again, Alicia just outvaluing with her tanks, and you know what? With this extra pressure, look at that. Actually, Quasar's now losing their harvester. Yeah, this is not looking good at all for him.
And Quasar's kind of broke, so he can't even use this extra pop cap advantage very much. He's got 3v2 in the middle now. It's kind of working out.
Hold on a
Alicia's
minute.
pulling a half, trying to make up for that pop cap deficit, but I don't know. Quasar, he's looking pretty strong here. I think that harvester kill helped him, honestly.
Oh, doesn't get the dogs onto that part of the pad. Finally does. The 2 tanks there. Does she just sort of concentrate on the middle pad to clear out the tanks? Or the dogs had to split up her forces? Have been very smart play there from Quasar, allowing himself back in. Wow, great stuff.
Look at this money again. Like, Quasar can't really afford tanks, but Alicia lost the missile because she's down a pop cap. And she has infinite money she can't spend. So again, I think we saw a harvester kill favoring the person who lost the harvester.
Right.
It's happened so many times in this tournament as well. The person getting the harvester kill has been behind. But now Quasar's broke. This is the thing. Now Quasar has no money. So I think from here, Quasar is screwed.
Unit lost.
Like, the thing is, even if Quasar does come out ahead in this initial tank war here, it doesn't matter because Alicia's got more money to replace them, whereas Quasar doesn't. Each tank that Quasar's losing here is throwing him further and further behind, and Alicia just has so much more money in the bank, so of course it's way easier for her to come back into this. And yeah, unfortunately, even though Quasar did win that second missile, you can see here Alicia now snowballing hardcore. And look, that harvester's going to go down. The pop cap doesn't actually matter. Now Quasar needs the cash money, so losing that harvester is just extra beating on top of the beating.
Yeah, I mean, this one's clearly over. Alicia's going to take this series 3-1. Very dominant performance.
Yeah, it really was. Great comeback, though, from Quasar there on that second missile. Gotta say, I mean, that was really good stuff. Those dogs coming out at the end, but it just seemed like things were too far behind at that point, and yeah, couldn't come back in. But it was good. It was a really great effort there, and overall, really good series as well. And
So looks like we're ready. Zeissman versus Serpus.
yeah, let's kick it off. All right, here we go.
Gonna be Gdi Mirror. Very nice choice.
3, 2, 1. New objective received.
Okay, well, I guess the question is, do we see more double Harv nod? Probably not, but maybe. Nope, looks like we're going to wheel next, although maybe we'll see the next unit be a Harv. We'll see. Ah, well, you gotta hold out for that excitement.
We're seeing,
Okay, so...
yeah, just one harvester each so far. I am
gonna say,
interested to see if we
they
see
could go
double
bikes,
harvester. Looks like we're not going to.
Unit ready.
Nope, doesn't look that way. They are going straight tank. Okay, all right. Oh, look at this. Just barely feeling each other out. You love to see that, eh? They're just, you know, dancing back and forth, trying to stay out of range of the other turret. But, you know, eventually we're going to get some fireworks going here. We see Surface going into second tank, of course. Icewind responds in kind. Does take down one of those wheels, which, you know, doesn't really matter too much. But is a nice way to stop that blocker from being effective. So, might play a role here.
Unit ready.
Oh, there it is. Surface gets the free shot. First one of the game.
Oh, very nice. Okay, and look
And he's
at
got
this.
the
Icewind not
3v2
bunching up.
sort of. Yeah, Zeissman's third tank doesn't get a shot off there. Looking pretty bad for Zeissman. I think Surface is... Yeah, there it is. Surface 2 tanks to 1.
Wow.
And that is it. That engagement right there might be the game decider.
It might be. Yeah, that was pretty savage there. The thing is again, Surface doing a really good job of bunching his takes, of making sure they're all staying within the same tile, or at least very close together. So that way, they focus fire on the tanks. And Zeisswind just pulled them too far apart. So, yeah, I mean, Surface looking very, very strong here.
Unit offline.
Oh, look at that. Ouch. Wow, that tank just got absolutely wrecked. And again here, now Surface coming out on top of things. I mean, you know what? Even though he's a little bit out of position here, getting another 2v1 on the tank, he does manage to take down the other one, but importantly, he's also got map positioning. And here coming into this first missile, that does matter a lot. We see Zeisswind pumping out the wheels, gonna try and get onto the pad and stall things, but it's just not timely enough. Surface responds with another tank coming up on that back pad, and well, you know what? As we've seen so far throughout this tournament, more tanks equals victory, and that's where Surface is at right now.
This is still only missile 1.
Yeah, I know, right? And we're
I
over
think
2 minutes.
there was a little bit of a comeback there for Zeissman, but it wasn't enough. He was too far behind. Surface 3 tanks to 0, 4 tanks to 0. It's over. I mean, like, no offense to Zeissman, but you can't win this game anymore. I think this is honestly just a reasonable surrender point. There's no way to come back from 4 tanks to 0. Like, you're just gonna get pushed off the map.
Right. Yeah, I don't see how Surface falls apart at this point and, you know, allows Icewind back into the game. He would have to make a series of big mistakes in order for that to happen. And, I mean, he's
Here
got
comes
so much
a
more
straight
money.
line of
and-
tanks, the patented Surface move. He's gonna put a line of tanks on the map.
Unit offline.
Now, I gotta say, some good micro there from Zeisswind, where he put the wheel on the hexes in front of the tanks, and he was able to get that low hit point tank and managed to get a shot off without him taking return fires. So there's actually some pretty nice micro there we saw from Zeisswind. Unfortunate though, it's probably not going to win in the game, but all the same, nice to see. But hold on a minute though. Actually, Surface not contesting that far left pad. Never mind. I was gonna say if Zeisswind can hold that far right pad, it might work out for him. But of course, the wheels just aren't going to last against the tanks. And yeah, really just a matter of time here before the game finishes.
The thing about Surface is he doesn't really do anything too fancy. It's just solid mechanical play the whole way through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, there's never...
That's right.
It's not like when you watch Alicia and she does, like, this ridiculous stacking of, like, 18 tanks all at once. He just plays solid mechanical. It's like solid fundamentals all the time. It's just, this is what you should do, and they just do it appropriately. It's not like, oh, look at this fancy trick. It's just, this is the correct way to play, and I just do it consistently throughout the entire game. This one, of course, is going to be GDI. And we're going to be on Stonewall once again. So I suspect we will see 4 harvesters in this game.
I have to say, well, yeah, especially on this map here. And yeah, just like in all the other games here, I mean, Zeisswind, this could be where he finds victory. But he has to win 3 games out of this series, which might be a tall order for him considering how that non-mirror matchup went. But, you know, it doesn't matter. If he wins these 2 GDI matches, goes to maybe another GDI match, he could take it. It's possible.
Harvester ready.
He needs 2 harvesters. I think, again, going harvester sooner is better. If you're going to double harvest, I think you just do it right away. And you can see Surface is up like 20 tib. So his tanks are just going to be slightly faster onto the map.
Ready.
I still don't really like the dog from Surface though. Like, these dogs have done absolutely nothing so far. They're just irrelevant units that eat a pop cap.
It's difficult to get a lot of value out of them, right? Like, of course there are ways to do it, but I mean, it's real sweaty micro that you gotta pull off in order to make that work. Like, look at that, right?
Zeissman gets the first freebie shot there.
Yeah, that was very good for Zeissman. I mean, obviously Surface was trying to micro his tanks through the dogs, but they weren't far away enough, out of range of the Predator tank, that they didn't take a shot. Now, Zeissman, 3 tanks to Surface's 2, and he's also got better positioning at the moment.
Just the dog punish again, like having the dog is just a punish.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, it seems
Look
like
at
a
this,
good idea,
Surface
but...
not even contesting the missile. This is what you're supposed to do. Surface went, I'm not going to contest the missile, I'm just going to 3v2 down here, get a good exchange on my tanks. The problem is, that kind of a play is extremely good in the single harvester mirror, where you let your opponent have the missile, but you put yourself ahead in tanks. In the double half mirror, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to... Zeissman's not going to run out of money. He's got 100... Like, he can make 2 more tanks.
Oh! Wow, that little exchange there was pretty interesting because Zeissman's 2 low hit point tanks managed to fire before Surface's tank fired at all. So that was actually a pretty good value gain there for him. But having said that, I mean, he's still pretty far behind there.
Yeah, and Zeissman just lost a little bit more money as well because his harvester finished the pack and had to travel all the way to the top. Whereas Surface's harvesters are split, so he hasn't got that problem.
Right.
You can see in the money difference that here it goes again. Zeissman's second harvester moving all the way up to the top, whilst Surfaces are just on new pads already. Look at the difference in money. I mean, you can see that Surfaces, this plus the just good trades Surface is making. Zeissman can barely afford a fresh tank.
Unit lost.
Yeah, I mean, you see that exactly right. Like, Zeissman is now fully committed. He doesn't have any extra money in the bank. He's got enough for another tank, but so does Surface. That said, though, this might be that point in time where it's wise to pull the Harvester to get that extra pop cap. So we see Surface pulling it, but Zeissman might be able to sneak the pads here just the last moment and win the game. I mean, does this Predator clear it in time? It's looking pretty close, and yes, actually, in fact, that low hit point tank is going to go down, but wait!
Oh my god, Surface, what a throw!
Oh, dude, wow!
What a throw.
Wow. Again, timing playing a role here. That, yeah, I mean, hey, that was definitely Zeissman's game, Surface's game to lose. I mean,
Here we go. Surface versus Zeissman, game number 3. Back on Nod now. Interested to see if it's a single or double half.
New objective available. Building online.
no, they both built the War Factory, so that would suggest not. So I think we're going to see single hard nod, but, okay, well, both players opening wheels here. You know, and I'm surprised to see that, actually. I feel like, I don't know why you just wouldn't go straight tank, or at least bikes, right? Like, I feel like bikes would be a much better unit to start out with. At least something that deals with the wheels before they can make an impact. But, yeah, well, I guess we'll just wait for the tanks to come out now.
Absolutely, that's what we're here for. Some goddamn tanks.
Yeah, exactly. Show me the tanks. I love it. Okay, this initial exchange is always very interesting, and let's see what happens. So, okay, so both tanks moving up to each other, neither of the wheels making a difference there. We see Zeissman getting a shot off on the wheels there. It looks like he's going to get another one. Surface going to try to use the timing to his advantage, but really good stuff there from Zeissman moving it in and out in time. Now, looks like Zeissman might be up ahead here slightly. The wheels are going to go down, and we see Surface not returning fire onto the tanks, and maybe he's going to make a push in here. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Surface falling quite far behind now, losing that tank, and Zeissman looking quite good for this first.
Zeissman dominating here with the good, he got the excellent free shots at the start. And this is feels bad for Surface, man, because he kind of crushed the first game. Second game he was dominating, but he kind of threw it away a little bit, and then he's made like a small misplay at the start.
Man, that was good stuff.
Makes a small misplay at the start of game 3, and now it looks like he's in trouble. Like, he goes down 2-1 after basically like only making 1 mistake in 3 games. That feels horrible.
Unfortunately, their Zeissman targeted the tank there in the middle with slightly more health, so doesn't clear that low hit point tank, which means Surface gains that tank back. So that could be a big deal here. We'll see if Surface manages to extract enough value out of it. And look at that, still hasn't gone down. Zeissman moves in and doesn't target it again. Zeissman falling further and further behind the tank war here. Surface, of course, has low hit point tanks, but doesn't matter. He's still coming out slightly ahead, but look at this now. We'll see if Zeissman can get something done with these 2 low hit point tanks.
Pretty savage throw the other way from Zeissman there. Had the tank advantage and managed to let Surface's 1 hit point tanks pretty much all get shots off for the rest of the game. So here it is again, another 1 hit point tank still alive.
Oh,
Still
he
getting
managed
shots
to clear
off.
it this time, but of course these tanks are too low in health and they're not going to clear the tanks in time, so this is Surface's missile, and there it is.
Wow, now it's completely reversed. Surface, the difference is, like, no offense to Zeissman, but I don't think Surface lets this kind of an advantage go the way Zeissman did.
Not at all.
Although he did just use a lot of shots on those wheels. And again, though, the tanks! Zeissman just not focus firing well enough. Keeps leaving Surface with 1 hit point tanks that are getting value.
And really good stuff there from Surface there. You saw him just move that low hit point tank just behind the full one as he pushed in to Zeissman. Of course, Zeissman being a great player too, retargeted onto the low hit point tank and took it out. But you see there just some of the good stuff that Surface is pulling off here to put him up ahead.
Yeah, and that was a pretty tough retarget as well, because those tanks were like on top of each other.
They were, yeah. No kidding, yeah, it would be easy to fat finger that one.
Look at that stack! Oh, see you later, Scorpion. Oh my god.
Absolutely wrecked.
So
That tank went down
brutal.
so quickly. And here we see Zeissman pushing the wheels up, and of course he's going to try and get onto the pad there, but it will stall. No, never mind. He has all 3 pads, so wow. Surface, just again, a masterclass here in the tank war. One small mistake, but after that, he was quite polished, and well, that gives him the W.
Absolute savaging at the end there. Zeissman versus Surface, game number 4, back to GDI. Look at that lava background.
3,
Looks
2,
great. I love it.
1. New
Too bad you don't get to
objective
see more of that,
available.
honestly. They should replace that with the Team League one or whatever.
Unit ready.
Okay, so no double blind heart from either player. They both opted to go straight into dogs, and well, I guess we'll see if they're going to go for a second heart, but I wonder if it makes sense here for Surface to actually plant his dogs in place of that second harvester location and try to stop it from ever getting in position. But I mean, Zeissman could just move his harv and block that from
Unit
happening.
ready.
Either way, though, we're going to see some tank action here. Here we go.
Interesting that neither player's gone double harvester, even though that has looked consistently like the best play in GDI Mirror.
Yeah, because at this point, one of them could go double harvester, and granted, that means they're losing the first missile, but it probably puts them way up ahead in the long run, right? So, I don't know. I wonder if it makes way more sense to at this point, go double hard, but no, we're not going to see that. We see both players not even getting any shots up on the tanks yet, although we're about to see the first one. There we go. That one first goes to Zeissman, but he's going to get the missile as well. There we go. I mean, he put the dogs up on the top pad. Surface just decided not to compete for it, but of course, I mean, in a game like this, the first missile's not going to dictate everything. As we see so far, both players being pretty even on the economy, except we see Surface up ahead of Tank.
Yeah, thing is, Surface there was doing the classic, I'll let you have the missile if I get a better tank trade, which puts him ahead. But then he drove his tank into 2 of Zeissman's tanks, just kill a dog. So, like, Zeissman got 2 free shots back, which I think puts Zeissman back on even keel. Although here, oh my god, look at this 4 stack. Just obliterating Zeissman's tanks. Absolutely savage. And look at this. This is what I'm saying. Like, he lost the first missile, but he did it in a manner that meant he got ahead in the tank mirror. And now, oh, but Zeissman's on the pad with the dogs again! Surface! How do you get punked so many times?
Oh, it's so close!
Oh my god, no, he's off the pad! Zeissman, you had it! Oh wow, Zeissman had it. Zeissman absolutely had it.
Yep.
He just threw it away. He absolutely had it. I can't believe Surface was gonna get punked again. That would have been so brutal, man.
But hey,
no.
I mean, that's legitimate, you know, because the dogs, even though they're cheap and they cost 10, yeah, they actually work very effectively in this format because the Predator's so slow at shooting. So, yeah, it can be a way to win. But, I mean, obviously, the person who makes more tanks really has been the victor here. But yeah, I mean, Zeissman could potentially pull out some cheese here. We'll see.
It's pretty tough. It's 5 tanks to place 3. There's not enough time. The way Zeissman gets back into it, really, with this differential in tank numbers, is to, like, both players max out, so it doesn't matter that your opponent has way more money. But he hasn't got time to do that.
No, exactly. Neither player's going to be pulling any harps here either, and yeah, look at this.
So many tanks from Surface.
Brilliant! An absolute shrekking there at the end.
I can't believe that Zeissman almost punked him again.
That was close.
That would have been so good.
It's out so much differently than every other map, so always exciting to see it for that reason.
3, 2, 1. New objective received.
Okay, so of course, the question is, what happens at the very beginning here? We see Quasar going initially for the tank rush. Zeissman holding steady, though. He's expecting the tank rush. Of course, I think I would too on a map like this. And here, Quasar really waiting here, sees that no harvesters available to him, so... well, I don't know what's going to happen from here on out. Is Zeissman just going to AFK win? We'll see.
Yeah, Zeissman has crashed, so...
Oh, he crashed. Okay. Well, fair enough then.
I don't know what the rules are here. I'm guessing it's a remake. Obviously, again, Kenny is the admin. He'll have the final say on that. Hopefully, I mean, the problem is obviously if Zeissman like watched the stream and saw what Quasar was gonna do, then it's a bit awkward. But it's a remake. I mean, again, this is not a super competitive tournament. This is a fun tournament. So I think we're leaning towards remakes more than like game losses because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was like a hyper competitive tournament, then we might consider being like it's your own fault, and you know because there was a rush coming, knowing that's now potentially on the table is a big deal. But it's a silly fun tournament, so whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, looks like we're ready to go again.
Let's give it a go.
Establishing.
All right, look at that glorious background, by the way, absolutely beautiful. That is the Gold League background.
3, 2.
Amazing.
Yeah, why does Gold and Platinum get the best backgrounds? Huh?
Right? It's not fair. Tiberium's garbage background.
Yeah, exactly.
Unit ready.
All right, so both. Okay, so they switched sides, by the way. There's one small difference in case you're looking at that. And we see both players going for the initial rush, which makes perfect sense. I think that is exactly where you want to be. You don't want to be going Harvester first on a map like this, because, well, you'll get locked out if you get Harvester pressured early. So, yeah, this makes a ton of sense. And here we see Quasar trying to inch forward, but Zeissman backing out. Of course, he's not going to try and take any free shots, so... Yeah, we're probably going to see a little bit of this until either, you know, enough money for another tank or somebody decides to go into their Harvester.
I like the wheels here. I think the wheels are good. I think Quasar's going to eventually get oh, I don't know about this Harvester, though. Ooh, that's going to be rough. I don't know if he can... Maybe he can keep it alive. He's got wheels to block. He's got the tank. He's getting some nice free shots here. Very nice tank play from Quasar. Look at that block. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful play from Quasar. And the bikes are going to get the tank kill. Oh, yeah, Quasar's just absolutely slamming him. Excellent. Honestly, just such good play from Quasar. Absolutely beautiful. And now Zeissman gets his half, but Quasar's ahead. So he gets to pressure it. Oh, this might just be over.
Oh, good tank micro here as well. Quasar pulling that tank through the bikes, making sure that Zeissman's tank is targeting the bikes instead of the tank, which means that now it's ahead. And look at that, he's going to clear the tank in one more shot. He's already in position to take out the Harvester as well. Yeah, Quasar looking very, very good here.
Gorgeous play from Quasar here. Like, I'm sorry, no offense to Zeissman, strong player, but my god, Quasar just demolished him in this game. I think if Quasar had played this well against Alicia, he'd be in the finals right now, because that was just perfect play.
Well, I feel like the mistake for Zeissman was he didn't send his tank south. Like, he pushed it back up, which makes sense. You want to keep your tanks together, but I really felt like he should have thrown it down and started pressuring the Harvester. I don't know. Because
I don't know if it makes a difference, honestly. Like, I think if he pushes it down, then the wheel goes down and blocks instead of going up and blocking. I don't know if it matters. Alright, looks like we're ready for game number 2.
Establishing
Yep, here we go.
And there it
And
is
it's a
again, that
strong arm
beautiful
mirror.
beach background and a strong arm mirror. These players really need to sort their shit out.
2.
Especially on Stonewall.
New
It's a terrible
objective
map for
received.
Stonewall.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are they even doing?
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly.
So
Okay.
awful.
Harvester ready.
Ready to collect.
Alright, so
Okay.
Terran gone blind double harvester makes sense.
Yep, I agree. What does Zeissman do now, though? He's probably going to go into his second Harvester at this point, I think, right? But Quasar, that means he's going to be... Oh, okay, so he's gone into Dogs. I was going to say that might mean Quasar gets to his tank a little bit faster, but that didn't end up being the case.
Yeah, I don't know about Quasar going dog here. Again, like, it just...
Unit ready.
We've consistently seen these... Like, I know Quasar says he likes the dog to block out the opponent's tank and give him position, but we've consistently seen these dogs doing nothing.
I agree with you. Yeah, like, it does seem good on paper, but then in reality, it's just so hard to pull off that, you know, we're just not seeing it that effective, so...
Second dog
interesting.
from Quasar. I really hate that play.
Yeah, because now Zeissman's got 2 tanks out, and of course, as we all seen, you want to be in more tanks, so... Zeissman did pull that Harvester as well, which is going to slow down his economy just a bit. His dogs on the far left pad, a bit of a problem too, because his Predator tank's just going to chew through them, and the only advantage here for Zeissman is the fact that Quasar split up his tanks. That means that Zeissman could push in with those 2 tanks and clear it out, but he doesn't have that quite a vision. The Fog of War is likely restricting his information, so that's probably why we're not seeing that take place. And, well, Quasar now looking quite good for this missile. He's getting a 2v1 on the tanks up top. So, there it is. Having the initial positioning pays out well for him, and there he goes. Takes missile number 1.
Tank rolling. Armor Predator en route.
Yeah, Zeissman, as you say, probably didn't have the vision to understand what was going on, but he did kind of throw away his chance to get an advantage there when he had the extra tank.
Unit lost.
And now it's the classic double half GDI mirror. Like Terran super punished by this dog again, needs to get rid of it, finally gets rid of it. But both players just too much money, not enough pop cap.
Yeah,
And
see, I was
Zeissman
gonna say
again
that-
punished, by the way, by not moving his harvester at the start of the game, because now he loses money as it crosses the map.
Yeah, and look, he's down at least almost 2 Predator tanks worth. I mean, that's it's nothing to snuff at. That's a fair amount of money. So, that said, though, it really does come down to who's going to be able to maintain the value out of these tanks. So, Quasar here bunching them up just a little bit better. We see Zeissman pushing that far tank up on the right on its own. Not a good spot for it to be in. A little bit better micro here from Quasar. And, well, he's not really pushing onto these bottom pads. Of course, Zeissman trying to maintain control of the pads, but really does need to focus more on his tank value. So, let's see how this initial matchup goes. Okay, well, looking pretty good here for Zeissman, actually. He's managed to take out the tanks. Although we got the Harvester pull coming in from Quasar on both pads, just to try and secure it. And actually, it's not going to pay out that well for him, because here we got Quasar with the tank coming up on the left here. He's going to be able to clear up that Predator tank. The Harvester's going to hold steady, and as soon as that tank is gone, all he has to do is block. Oh, never mind. Zeissman being off the pads. There we go. Quasar takes it.
And that is it is a best of 3, so that's gonna be that. Quasar does take 3rd place, so congratulations to Quasar. And now we're gonna be moving on to the grand finals. Alicia versus Surpus. Micro versus Fundamentals. Very excited to see this one.
I am too. Yeah. You know, like I said, I think I kind of thought it would be like Surpus or Alicia at the end, or or Quasar, Surpus, you know, one of those 3 I thought was going to form the end. And, well, yeah, not so too surprising. But as we've seen throughout this tournament, like, it's not really just so much about knowing rivals very well. There's actually a lot of different things you have to understand in the tank mirror. It's just that, like Blade was saying, I think, you know, Alicia having the experience in tank mirrors has paid off very well for her. Like, even though maybe she hasn't practiced as much as everybody else, doesn't matter. She still understands those core fundamentals, and it's giving her the edge. So, and then Surpus again, you know, just like you said, a core fundamentalist. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say which one's better in the end. But we're going to find out, aren't we?
Alright, so game number 1 is going to be on Pillbox, which I believe we've had multiple times now. It's the one where the harvesters are off on their sides with the rocks blocking them. It is of course going to be Nod first because we're doing game 1. Game 1 is always Nod. And actually looks like we're already ready to go. Surpus versus Alicia. Game number 1, grand finals. About to get underway. We do have predictions up for anyone who cares. Maybe? I don't know, it looks like the prediction went up and now I don't see it anywhere. Just waiting on our host to press that button. And then we will be underway. I think Kenny is taking time to do predictions instead of starting the game.
Oh, fair enough. Well, and you know, good series to do predictions for anyway.
That is not the correct score. Hold on a second, let me fix that. It is a 0-0.
Unit ready.
Okay, so starting off on Pillbox, and Alicia switching over to Seth. I mean, on a 3-pad map makes a heck of a lot of sense, and but she does have to be wary of Kane's Obelisk. The Obelisk being better against squads means that those Flame Troopers won't get as much value, you know, of course, if that's the way this game goes. But here we see, we're just going to see wheel-on-wheel action. No tanks coming out yet, but of course, that does need to be the next unit, although I guess it are. But yeah, no surprise here, and well, let's just see how this initial engagement goes.
Yeah, and we no double harvester here, so we're going to see classic one tank. Both players are going to dance back and forth. I doubt either of these tanks are going to shoot until a second tank is on the field. And then usually the person who wins is going to be the one who gets the fewest shots randomly onto wheels, is what we've seen. Oh, looks like a slight lead for... No, a slight lead for Surpus here. One shot lead for Surpus. Very nice. Oh, Alicia doesn't get the freebie. Oh, and Surpus 2 shots up now. Oh, Alicia in trouble. One tank versus 1.5. I don't know if she can come back from this.
Yeah, that lock-on mechanic, it is tricky to use very well, but Surface just comes out very slightly ahead. And we're talking a matter of milliseconds here, you know, like that was a very, very tight timing window for Surface to come out ahead, but he just manages to do it. And now he's in great position. Of course, this means missile number 1 for him. And Alicia very smartly pulling her tanks back. That's exactly what you want to do. You don't want to push them up ahead. Try to get and push yourself into a bad engagement, and then you just go further behind. So I really like what Alicia's doing here, just foregoing the missile.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way, like I said a few times, that you can't lose the first missile, so you can't fight over the first missile if you're behind. It's not worth losing tanks over it. So this is how Alicia gets back into it, I think. This is quite smart. What she's doing is she's waiting till both players are pop cap, so even though Surface has more money, it doesn't matter, because they both just have 4 tanks. And there's no way Surface can use his money to make a 5th tank.
Ooh, having said that, though, look at it. Alicia pushing those 2 tanks up. Surface had slightly better positioning and was able to group up his tanks a little bit more, and that's causing Surface to get a few extra shots that Alicia's not. So this is causing Alicia to lose tanks. But look at this, never mind. Surface pulling that tank back, allowing Alicia here to get some extra shots together means that these 3 tanks are just getting a lot of value. But of course, as the missile's about to fire, they aren't going to hold steady. And well, Surface now building the bikes, which will take care of that low hit point tank if need be. But doesn't matter. Got the 2 tanks in good positioning there. That gives him that second missile. And of course, the game.
Yeah, I think Surface kind of like let Alicia get some very good trades right at the end there. There were a couple of 3v1s that happened,
Yes,
but it was too late to matter. Oh, Alicia choosing Liang, a good choice, of course. Not as good as Solomon from Surface, though.
I have to agree with you. Yeah, the ion cannon can be pretty valuable, especially on a 2-pad map. Okay.
Surface
So,
going
of course,
half
we've seen
dog,
this tournament
Alicia
develop
going
so
for the blind
far.
double half here. Interestingly enough, I think if you went dog first unit, is Alicia going to move her harvester or is she going to get blocked? Oh, Alicia, what are you doing? She could have moved her initial harvester up before the dog got there, and then replaced the
rookie
new
mistake
tile
there.
with the other half. So that was very odd that she didn't do that. I was going to say,
Yeah, I guess he
if you
was
went dog
expecting it.
first, I think before harvester, you could definitely block pretty comfortably.
Damn, I really thought Surface was going to continue to block there, but unfortunate as he moved his dogs out of the way just too far, then allowed the harvester to get back on there. Because actually, I think if he blocks her from harvesting for long enough and eats up that pop cap in a harvester that just can't do anything. I mean, maybe it makes a big enough of a difference for the first missile, and then maybe Surface just snowballs from there. But well, didn't pull that off. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. When both players are going double halved, I'm not sure how relevant it would have been. He would have had to block for a pretty long time before it really mattered, I think.
But here these dogs are causing problems. Look at this. I mean, Alicia having 3 tanks to Surface's 2. And granted, it looks like positioning-wise things are going to work out here, but we see a 3v1 essentially taking place. And this first engagement here looks pretty favored for Alicia, but... Hold on a minute. Okay, so 1 tank goes down for Alicia, and Surface survives 3. They are very low, so we'll see how Alicia answers here. But so far, Surface is actually on ahead.
It's 4, yeah, I mean, it's 4 tanks to 3, but Surface has 2 very low hit point tanks. They're both going to go down. Alicia now looking pretty strong because those tanks were kind of a liability on such low hit points. Can Surface get all his tanks back into position in time? Very nice targeting from Surface, but it looks like he is still on the pad. This could be anyone's game still. Both players pretty broke. Is Alicia? Oh, Alicia does not sneak on, and that's going to be it. Surface is going to take that first missile with that sly little block there. Both players broke as well. You can see, like, when the tanks, because the spawn points are so close to the middle, it doesn't take that long for the Predators to get there. And with such intense fighting, they're actually, like, people are running out of money.
Well, and what we started to see happen there was neither player was able to really group up their tanks. Like, they were just coming in one at a time. And so what it really came down to there, Surface just took positioning. He took the hex on the top, the top hex on the bottom pad. And because, of course, timing just wasn't going to allow Alicia to come back onto the pads, he managed to take that first missile. But, I mean, really, that's all it was. Surface just pushed up 1 hex ahead and he won that missile. So it was very close.
These tank fights are always so satisfying, just tank battling each other.
Oh, look at this. Isn't this great? This is what you were here for, isn't it, folks? This is good stuff.
This is a true meat grinder as well, like tanks just constantly flying into each other. Look at Surface is broke, man. If he lost a tank now, he'd barely be able to afford to replace it. Alicia now 4 tanks to Surface 3. That means she's been getting the good end of these exchanges if her pop cap has cooled down already.
Tank rolling.
Now, I'm very surprised to see no Harvester pressure at all, and I do think it would be a mistake at this point, because then you're just going to free up a pop cap for the other player, which just allows them to build another tank. Because at this point, money doesn't seem to be too big of a problem. So I'm surprised to see that both players have evolved their game to not go after the Harvester, but look at this. Surface just in better positioning here, not going to allow Alicia onto the pads, and there it is. Missile number 2, and game number 2 goes to Surface.
Surface 2-0 now with the strong fundamentals. What a master.
He sure does. Yeah, he could win it all right here. Well, let's find out if that's the case.
Establishing
Here we go. Look at that background. Both players in Masters, true professionals.
3, 2, 1. New mission received.
Harvester moving.
All right, and for this final match, we have none other than Surface playing Flame Tank, Artillery, Basilisk, a very strong trifecta there, and Alicia bringing Widowmaker, Centurion, and Confessor. A very strong trifecta as well, but that Artillery is going to be a big problem for the Widowmaker, and Black Basilisk, I mean, it's just going to absolutely wreck everything else. But look at this start off. Alicia going for that double blind Harv. Surface also reacting with the double Harv, and do you think that's the right play? I think it makes sense if you do see your opponent going double Harv.
Yeah, I think once one player goes double Harv, it's really hard not to go double Harvester. Especially when you're like, I mean, Surface had to make a tank next unit, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty tough. Pretty tough for him not to, like, if he could maybe, he sees double Harv and he can maybe like do some kind of aggression on it maybe, but I think he just has to go double Harv himself. And again, Surface gets the first freebie shot.
Wow.
Oh, but there's some split fire from Surface, which is not good for him, and there it is. Split fire puts him miles behind. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's close.
Oh, now it's
so
evened
close.
up. It's evened up now.
It's like
Okay,
an
hold on a minute.
exact mirror, but Alicia has the second tank way sooner than Surface. She's actually pretty far ahead right now.
Oh no, and takes another shot as well. Yeah, Surface here taking some extra shots, losing those tanks, just a step behind on those firing shots. So that means Surface is losing his tanks before Alicia, or sorry, after Alicia finishes firing. So this is putting him behind, and trying to say, you know, even though like you look at this game right now, Surface is clearly behind. It's really been actually very close. Like it's come down to just a couple of differences in micro and retargeting that's really dictated this. So it's been very close. Oh my gosh, look at this. Now we've got a 2v1 returning from Surface. Alicia retreating that tank, just trying to make sure it stays alive. And one more shot's going to go down, but here, Alicia with positioning as well. Just not a lot of space between the base and the pads allows her to respond in time. And now it's going back to Alicia. Like, it's just, wow, this has been going back and forth so much.
Again, it just felt like Alicia was kind of too aggressive, right? Like she had the tank advantage in numbers,
Yes.
just sit back like Surface does. Make that line of tanks. How is he going to break you? Like you have more tanks than him.
Oh, this is some really smart play here from Surface. Just, again, his use of the tanks, pulling them out of range of the shots, making the retarget onto a more favorable take like he was trying to do there. It's just allowing him to come up slightly ahead. And, yeah, you got to give a lot of credit here to Surface. It's just slow and steady. He's winning the race here for him.
It's kind of insane that Surface has managed to get himself back into this. It felt like he was so far behind. And now look, he's actually slightly ahead. Like he can get the next tanks first.
Oh, but hold on a
Oh, but
minute.
this is it. This is
pulling
what
up with the
matters.
three
And look how many tanks
Here it
Alicia
comes.
has as the missile's about to fire. It's a 4v2.
Really good stuff here. Alicia retargeting away from the Harvester and making sure that she shot the tank. You know, Alicia here is putting in her best efforts, and it's paying off. We got a Harvester coming in hot. Another tank on the far right pad. That's it. There it is.
Yeah,
Alicia
Alicia.
wins the game.
Alicia not interested in going down 3-0. Wants to make this a real match.
Control.
All right,
Yo,
here we go.
okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1. New objective received. Building online.
Let's see if we have the double harvest to start.
Unit ready.
That's always the question, right? It's kind of interesting looking at the unit order at the very beginning and seeing what's going to happen. But look at this! Oh man, Serpa's going to do the same shenanigans against Alicia, and she gets borked again. But of course, on a map like this, it should be easier for her to do that. She'll just have to swap the harvesters, and there we go. So not going to have the same thing happen to her again. She is going to make sure her harvesters get into place, which is very good for her. So Serpa's here not successfully blocking the harv does mean that he's going to be slightly behind, but it's only about 20 tib, as you can see, which probably doesn't make that much of a difference, but we'll see.
I think it could be relevant, and I think given how regularly we've seen the GDI mirror be a double harvester mirror, I don't think it even makes sense to not just go. I guess maybe Surface is worried about getting tank rush. Ooh, and the free
look at
shot for
that.
Surpus again. So many freebies.
Yeah, that's a big deal because, of course, that's one shot that his tanks are up ahead, which means that in a 1v1 engagement, Surpus comes out on top. And so that means he's going to be up a tank. And that's exactly where you want to be. So that was very good for Surpus to use that Harvester to block that shot. And Alicia here are going to try and apply a bit more pressure. She's got her tanks all grouped up. And, of course, she could do a 3v1 here. But it looks like she's targeting... Oh, no, it looked like she was targeting the Harvester. So not so sure that was the right play after all.
I don't really understand why Alicia is like aggressively threatening this Harvester anyway, because it's also been shown that the Harvester kills aren't super relevant in the double Harvester mirror. So I don't really understand. Oh, and there it is. Look at that lineup from Surpus. Absolutely perfect.
Very nice.
Beautiful
Very
play
nice.
from Surpus. Alicia kind of getting crushed in this tank mirror here.
Ready to run and gun.
Unit
Oh
lost.
boy, well, she's got 3 tanks on the field there and enough time to push back, so it's looking pretty good. She does clear up that tank from Surface. The missile's about to fire. Alicia moving her Harvester right now as we speak, but it shouldn't cost her anything money-wise. And, well, with good positioning on that middle pad, Predator Tank's not going to clear the tanks in time, and, well, there it is. Missile number 1 goes to Alicia.
That dog, man. Surface needs to get rid of that dog way sooner. That dog was such a punish this game.
Oh, big time, yeah. Oh, and now
Didn't
without
have
any
as many tanks
defense.
as Alicia.
Uh-oh. Well, things might be changing here, but you know what? Having said that, I think Alicia just gave Surface a bit of a boon there, clearing that
Unit
Harvester.
lost.
Maybe. I mean, Surface has 170. It's not like infinite tank money. And there is also the real danger of the players just running out of Tiberium on the field to harvest.
Right.
So if Alicia harvests some of Surface's, that could be a big deal.
Man, look at this tank exchange going up at the top. Surface going to win the tank exchange going on at the bottom there, which is kind of a big deal. But Alicia there coming back, and so far she's way ahead now in economy. You look at the difference between them. Alicia over 200 TIB, the Surface is 80. Losing that Harvester now starting to affect him a little bit. He now needs to try and claw his way back into this game, as we saw a lot of pressure on the top part of the map, and now everything pushing down to the bottom. And Alicia, with her 4 tanks grouped up here, is a little bit better positioning, and that could matter a lot. Let's see.
Yeah, but Surface has 5 tanks. Like, Alicia has slightly better positioning, but Surface has an extra tank.
Yeah, and actually you're right. So Alicia now having dropped another tank. Another one's about to go down here. She's got 2 tanks, but 2 more coming from behind. Surface going to clear up that tank. He's going to stall the missile here. He's going to get the first shot, and a Surface does actually. So that's going to allow.
He's gonna get on the.
Surface
He's
right
not on the
back
pad in
onto the
time.
pad,
Oh, but Alicia doesn't get the block. She's out of money now. she's just broke.
Uh-oh.
Surface
This is
4
not
tanks
what
to
Alicia
1.
planned.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Absolutely
What a
savage.
turnaround. I mean, how do you fall behind from there? Alicia had more tanks. She was in good spot there to win.
She let him kill a Harvester, and then she didn't have enough bank. And then with the
Right,
Harvester
yeah.
kill, I mean, I think it's over now. So, but it's like she can't get back on the pads. She has no money.
Well, hold your beer, because look at this. Alicia making a good pushback, but actually no. Surface has got healthier tanks. He is about to shoot the Harvester there. No, good. Retarget is on to Alicia's Predator tank, making sure to clear that up. And really, there's just no way that Surface drops the game from here. Especially not a good, clean fundamentalist like him. He's just going to continue to push harder and harder and just make sure he maintains that winning position. And yeah, Alicia having realized that clearly just isn't responding. And well, I guess that's it, eh? You know what? Surface coming out on top, making his way through this grueling competition, and you love the ion cannon at the end. What a great finish to this
What a
tank
weird
tournament.
game that was. Now, of course,
really was,
you
though.
aren't allowed to use commander powers, so we might have to penalize Surface for that Solomon there.
Right? Yeah, yes, yeah. You're right. Yeah, we should do that. Absolutely. Wow. Wow, that was good stuff.
Well, there you have it. A bit of an anticlimactic end to that final game, but yeah,
It was.
just a solid performance from Surface as always. It's hard to say where that game went wrong for Alicia, really. I feel like she was like a little behind at the start when she let him shoot her tanks in exchange for shooting the Harvester a couple of times. But then she got the half kill, and she had the double half versus the single half, and Surface didn't have that much money. And I think she just pushed her half up too much and let Surface kill it, and that gave him the money he needed because he was single Harvester. Yeah,
Like,
then from
economy
there he
dictated
just had
so
more
many
tanks
things.
because he was one half, and it was very weird.
Well, there was one thing. So somebody pointed out that Alicia misbuilt the tech lab during that game. So she ended up losing a ton of money throughout that game. But I don't know what point that happened. I'm trying to remember now. I'm quite sure it was after the first missile fired. But I mean, yeah, that would be one big reason to throw yourself out of the game. So, but
Okay,
hey, I mean, it's
Alicia,
rivals and these
Yeah,
things happen.
I didn't
you know?
realize Alicia had accidentally built her tech lab, but that is, yeah, I mean that's a huge throw. The tech
Yeah.
lab in it with one building cost what 150. That's like 2 predators that you lose.
Yeah, that would easily lose. And she was
Yeah.
ahead too, right? Like she had
Yeah,
she
that
had
makes
that
sense.
much of a cushion built up, and then just went, and then it disappeared, right? That's kind of what happened there. So
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
a
too
lot of
bad.
sense. That's where all her spare money went. That's why she fell behind.
yeah.
Well, there you go. Unfortunate ending for the match point game for Alicia to be winning and then accidentally build a tech lab. But you know that's the way Rivals goes.
Yep, that's how she goes sometimes. And wow, what a Blade! I gotta say, what an awesome tournament. You know, like obviously when we try out these new formats, we're not 100% certain of how games are gonna play out or what's gonna happen. But you know, a lot of the things we talked about before this tournament were things like we were really worried that it wasn't going to be a tank-centric tournament. It sure was. I mean, every game featured nothing but tanks. And you know what? Hats off to the people who organized this because there was lots of thought put into this
That was
to make
us,
sure
Jeffrey.
that this worked out. Well, no, I'm saying like all the discussion, Kenny, Viper for the graphics, of course, ourselves were involved too. But there was lots of discussions that took place behind the scenes to make this into what it is. And you know what? I would say it was a big success. So hats off to everybody for that. And I hope you guys enjoyed it too. You know, tell us what you thought about the format and if you enjoyed watching the tournament and if this is something you'd like to see more of. Because for myself personally, being on this side of it, I thought it was great. Like the games were interesting. It was a different take on the so familiar game that we're used to. So there's just lots of positives out of it I thought about. But yeah, no, it was just a lot of fun to do it. And thank you so much for having me along, Blade. It was a really good time.
Yeah, well, obviously you're always welcome, Jeffrey. I mean, you say like having me along, but like you're as much a part of the team as the rest of us. Like you just are,
Well, I
you
enjoy
are a
it.
core member of Legion. So, like I'm just the one who happens to be streaming it. Like we're you know equal partners in this venture.
Right, yeah,
But yeah,
sure.
I think the rule that you had to build a tank as your second unit actually worked out really nicely.
Yeah.
I think we would have seen too many bikes otherwise. Like you saw the game where Quasar tried to bike crush Alicia, and she just went like bike and held it off pretty easily. I think if we had not had that rule, we would have seen a lot of games where Nod just went bike for like the first missile, if not longer.
Exactly.
Which
Yeah.
would not have been very interesting. So I'm glad we had that rule. Yeah, that was a pretty good tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Congratulations to Surpus, the winner of the tank tournament. We did not have Bjar here, who obviously professes his love for tanks a lot. But I don't think you can claim to be a tank lover and then miss the tank tournament. So
Right?
I
Yeah,
think he
yeah.
has officially lost his tank lover status.
That's right. Exactly.
Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Of course, thank you to Kenny and behind the scenes. Also, Tommy doing some scores and names there. So thank you a lot, Tommy. Also, thank you to Viper for the graphics. Thank you to Sarpedon for the bot. I don't know if there's anyone else to thank. Thank you to Great Boy for picking the bad maps, so the maps were worse. Good job there, Great Boy. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that all. If you want more Legion action, don't forget to donate to Legion so we can afford to run these tournaments, because, you know, otherwise we lose money when we run these tournaments, which is not ideal. Like, I mean, we obviously we love running the tournaments and we like, you know, having tournaments for the community, but I don't think we're willing to pay to have that happen. So yeah, if you want more of these tournaments, do donate. Otherwise, we can't really run them. And I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And I think that's probably going to be it from us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good stuff.
I don't know if you have anything left to say.
No, just other than, you know what, like Blade said, it all comes down to the community at the end of the day. You're how we make this possible, especially for the prize pools, which is what attracts the players so that we can, you know, actually have a tournament for, you know, people to watch. So, yeah, and I know people love to watch Rivals tournaments, so I'm sure you guys want to see more of them. And, you know, for me personally, I just love doing it. It's a whole heck of a lot of fun to get together with the group. So, yeah, if you guys want to continue, consider supporting us, of course, it means a lot to us. And then, hey, you'll get to see more wacky stuff like tank tournaments. And don't forget, we have that Middle Oasis tournament planned as well. So there's going to be that to watch out for as well.
There's also some kind of an alliance tournament which
Oh yeah, right.
Kenny
Yeah.
keeps dropping hints on. I don't understand how that's going to work yet. I haven't really heard about it, but yeah, hopefully we'll have more information about that in the future. All right, hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will see everybody next time.
Thanks so much, everybody.